cussed us. He said we were hell on wheels. But didn't we burn up the back road? Didn't we have us some fun? Hey, I got a great idea. What do you say we make one more run? Carrying on like we did before. 10 in the tank, 4 on the floor. V8 screaming, we're back for more. Carrying on like we did before. V8 screaming, we're back for more. Carrying on like we did before. Right,
Yeehaw! Hey, this is Chance Bartels doing a little quick update. We're going to talk about Morbius. I have a caller on the line. We're going to review the new movie Morbius and talk about some other stuff. Hey, what time is it? It's Podblast time! Yeah, like I said, this is just a supplement. Just a few things to go over tonight. There was a record auction of some comic books that sold for millions of dollars that my buddy Jeff alerted me to. But before that, I want to talk about a new movie that's getting trashed by critics called Morbius. And on the line is Mr. Shane B. Shane, are you there?
We are here.
I saw it today. I got to be honest, I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. But what was your take on Morbius, which is about a living vampire? It's one of the Marvel movies, but it's not a Disney movie. What did you think?
I despise this movie. Now, the whole Marvel thing, it's Sony. This is not part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as they're trying to put a front on about the movie. But there's a nice little mid-credit scene that argues with that. That's one of my biggest gripes with this movie. Yeah, there's no Marvel Studios attachment to it. There's no Disney Studios attachment to this. But they had to nerve to include something that says otherwise. So that's a big slap in the face to everybody. It's like, what are you really doing? What path are they going with this?
Do you think they're insulting the intelligence of the viewers then? You think it's like sort of like they're misleading people because they slap that Marvel logo? It's like the first thing you see.
I see it as it's more of an insult as to, oh, you people will eat anything we put on your plate. And that's really a path they're going down. It's already bad enough with what they've done with the cinematic universe itself, with the introduction of the multiverse, primarily starting with Loki, that Disney Plus. I don't even know what they call that show. It seemed like it was going to go somewhere, but it became the Sylvie show, his female counterpart. The show was more about her. It assassinated his character. It was like, this is not the god of mischief. This is not the heartless Loki we know. They made him a sympathetic character. And his counterpart, Sylvie, was like, you know what? I'd rather see this show about her. But introducing the whole timeline theory, how the Time Lords have everything planned out the way it should be, contradicts a lot of stuff that happened in the movies previous, starting with the first Avengers movie. So you do that, then you got your WandaVision stuff, and now Doctor Strange has introduced the multiverse. Then you throw Spider-Man No Way Home in there, introducing a big expanse of the multiverse, tying in Sony to Disney, and then doing 3 movies together. And it's like, wow, how far are you going to go with this? Oh, we're going to go a couple steps further. We're going to do a Doctor Strange movie with Wanda, introduce more of this multiverse, and just scramble all the eggs right now. Let's introduce this Morbius movie, who was a famous villain of Spider-Man / anti-hero. If you notice in one scene in this movie, there's actually a poster of Spider-Man in a background shot when Jared Leto's just walking by this wall. He's like, okay, so he introduced Spider-Man.
I didn't notice that.
But the mid-credit scene is what really throws everything off. Hell, it's been enough time. People have seen this movie. They have Vulture in this movie. He just appears out of nowhere.
Played by Michael Keaton.
Now,
yeah.
Yep.
For those that don't know, yeah.
Same actor, same character. And it's like, well, wait a minute. He is technically, who owns this character? So he's introduced in the Disney Sony merger. And it's really a question of who owns this character, and it should be Sony, because they own all of the Spider-Man characters. But he's in a movie that you co-made with Disney. So they just pretty much set up hey, you're going to see this in the MCU soon enough. And the question is, why? He just appears out of nowhere. Just in a jail cell. Look, we got to let him out because we don't know who this guy is. He doesn't have a record. Why is he in here? Let him go. Oh, great. Man, he seems like he's on some kind of path.
Hey.
The end credit.
Well, Shane, do you think he blipped? Was that the thing that he blipped? You know what I'm saying? Now, to anyone out there who doesn't know the Marvel, okay. Because he appeared in a different cell, and that was ostensibly why they released him. Unless I missed something.
No, because even what they gave us in Avengers Endgame, Hulk, his snap was to bring everyone that got blipped back safely. And they're supposed to be in the general area of where they were, if not close enough to a safe place to be returned back to their, normal form. Now, if he's already in jail somewhere else, why would he appear in a jail somewhere else? Unless they're trying to say, yeah, he was in jail, but not in this universe.
I think they would have maybe put another prisoner in there, because, all right, for those that don't know, Thanos snaps his fingers with the Infinity Gauntlet, and half the universe just disappears, and then they reappear 5 years later when things are restored in Endgame. Anyway, I thought, man, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone out there knows what might have happened to explain why he's all of a sudden in a different cell, and nobody knows why he's in that cell. It wasn't really explained.
They apparently have some kind of record of this guy. If they look his name up and find, he's not in here for anything, he's no crimes or nothing, there's some kind of record of him in this universe.
Okay.
I feel they're going that multiverse crap. They
gotcha.
did the same thing.
Yeah.
They did the same thing at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, they did. I thought, though, the makeup was kind of cool. Some of the action. It started slowly, the movie, Morbius. That's what we're talking about. It's a short movie, which a lot of people will like. I mean, it's like an hour and 45 minutes. Usually these Marvel movies are over 2 hours long, sometimes 2.5 hours long. But, I didn't think it was as bad as I thought it would be. That's just me.
Well, that was a plus of the movie. I'll give them credit for that. The runtime was nice, short, sweet, get in, get out. The problem is execution, because they rushed right through stuff. We're 25 minutes into the movie is when he turns into a vampire. It's like, wow, no real build up there. It's like, here's a post-it note, here's a post-it note, here's a post-it note, boom, he's supernatural vampire in that. And yeah, they do a little struggle with him trying to figure out how to control the power. But his good old buddy Milo, there's this classic lazy structure of movie villains. We can apply the same thing to Obadiah in Iron Man Part 1. How bad guy gets the same power as our hero and just learns how to use it lickety-split quick. Obadiah built this Iron Man suit, and just boom.
That's a good point.
Watch Tony struggle to use that suit.
Right.
Obadiah just chucks in this big behemoth and just said, let me get this something. Wow, yeah, the same thing happened with this character Milo in this damn Morbius movie. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna hit the beats and get out. Get in, get out, get in, get out, get in, get out.
That's Shane. I gotta back up just a second and explain to anyone that has not seen this movie real briefly. This guy you're talking about, Milo. All right. In the beginning, you see these two guys as kids, and they're friends, and they both have an affliction where they can't walk. They walk with crutches. I mean, they're very, very sick. And so this guy Morbius is a scientist who comes up with what he thinks is a cure, and it turns him into a vampire. In a nutshell, that's what's going on in this movie. And this other guy, Milo, who's a good kid, and he's sympathetic. He's getting bullied by other kids when he's, a youngster. Give me back my letter. He gets a letter from Michael Morbius, his buddy, and these punk kids at a private prep school across the way steal it from him, beat him up and everything. And then this guy, that's Milo. He winds up getting seduced by the power of this drug, and he wants to just take blood off of normal people, and he goes to bars and he's hitting on these blondes just to kill them. He's a bad dude. Anyway.
And see, with that aspect of it too, it was very reminiscent of the Spider-Man, his buddy Osborn,
Harry Osborn. Yeah.
It was very reminiscent of that because our hero is the one with the brains, and the friend is the one who has the money. And they did that there. Morbius, his intelligence is realized at that young age when they're at the home as kids. So he's placed in advancement. So yeah, he shot off to greatness, doing great things as a doctor. He made synthetic blood that was working for the good of everybody. And his buddy Milo found his way into money. So Milo funds his research. And when he thinks they find the cure, it's too dangerous. Now we're going into Amazing Spider-Man 2 territory. It's like, you have something that might cure me. It's like, I don't know what it's going to turn you into. But he takes it anyway. And of course, he turns crazy. It's like they took beats from a lot of the movies they've already done and just said, let's just, that. I don't see this movie doing justice to the character of Morbius himself. Just how rushed it is. This is directed by Daniel Espinosa. He's got a couple good movies. Safe House with Ryan Reynolds and Denzel Washington. Okay, you work with Ryan Reynolds. And another movie called Life with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds. Okay, these two guys. You think you know how to work with characters that are somewhat presented with a slight bit of complexity, but not here. But Columbia also had a part in this movie, Columbia Pictures. So maybe their grubby little hands played a little part into maybe the length of the movie. I would see Sony not having a problem with making this movie at least 2.5 hours long, but 1 hour and 43 minutes.
They must have edited a lot out. They must have edited a lot out. And why wasn't it released at Halloween time? It's kind of a weird time of the year. And this is where all the turkeys are released, except for The Batman, which I liked. Being released in March. Everybody knows the good movies come out, in the holiday season or in the summertime. This one comes out in April. So that's a bad sign.
I feel they're up to something. To have it released at this time, I feel they're up to something with the whole new Doctor Strange movie coming out. Into the madness of the multiverse, whatever they call that movie, how they're just going to bring everybody together. Maybe they want to go ahead and set Morbius up so he's not a surprise later down the line. But as much negative response as this movie's gotten, I find that a risky move. Or maybe you get somebody else to handle it.
When you're talking about the multiverse, there's a rumor that the Fantastic Four are going to be in this movie, which would be huge. And we'll see. The multiverse, Doctor Strange 2, Into the Multiverse, is released in early May. I think May 4th or something. Anyway, I'm excited about that one. That's going to be if you're a Marvel geek like me, man, I'm stoked for this movie. That's going to be a good one.
I don't know. I'm treading lightly. I'm tiptoeing on water going into this movie. Talking about Patrick Stewart being in here for Spectre X. I was like, okay. And we know that Marvel got Disney, whatever. They finally got Fox.
Right.
So
they bought
have the
Fox.
X-Men now.
Yeah, right. And that includes the Fantastic Four and X-Men, yeah.
That one I am kind of excited about because, I mean, the first three X-Men movies, they were what they were. At least the first two were. I liked them. I had no problem with them. The rest of them, what? They just went off the rails, and then with First Class, it's like, what are you doing? Where are we now? And what was the last one? The Phoenix?
Oh, I hated it. Hated it.
You killed Mystique off, and it's like, hold on. She's not dead. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What's going on? That franchise really needs a reset. It really does. I don't know about it being in Disney's hands. Like, they totally just screwed up Star Wars. Fine. I'll give you that. Y'all don't understand Star Wars. But with the Spider-Man, the three movies that did with Spider-Man, you know, I like Homecoming. It was fine. It was safe. Far From Home, I despise that movie. I can't wait to make my video about it. But No Way Home, you know, the first 15, 20 minutes is just like, but the rest of the movie is, it's a fucking blast. It's awesome. Loved every minute of it. I was like, yes, and they did it nicely. The combination of three Spider-Man actors, it was a nice mesh. It was really nice, and then they screwed it up right at the end. I mean, he was right there at home plate, and then you tripped over your shoelaces. The way they ended that movie is like, oh, you were almost there.
Yeah, it was kind of clumsy. Yeah.
That movie created some plot holes. Right at the end, it's like, oh, you didn't have to end it like that. But overall, a good job with what they did.
Hey, you talking about Far Away From Home? I had no idea that the guy that was making all the illusions was the kid from friggin' Christmas Story and Messy Marvin in the second Spider-Man movie.
Jake Gyllenhaal?
No, his buddy, he was the guy that was creating the illusions that screwed up. He was wearing the glasses, the tech guy.
Oh, yes.
That's the
from
Billingsley.
The guy from Iron Man 1 that,
right.
Obadiah was screaming at about, don't you start doing this in a cave with scraps.
Right.
That's the same actor. That was a nice little nod for them to bring him back to. I love that.
But they wasted the elementals, though. They made them a joke, an illusion. And anyway, I'm digressing way off course here, but anyway, I just thought in Far Away From Home, they sort of made the elementals could be done better, I think. The elementals, water, fire, earth, anyway. But what did you think of the Batman? What did you think of the Batman?
The Batman. Oh man, talk about one of the most hyped movies I was ready for. Me and a community I deal with on YouTube, we were talking about this, doing speculations and stuff. We did a podcast on it. Just kind of excited to see what Robert Pattinson was going to bring to the role after watching him in a great little movie called The Lighthouse.
Yeah, I loved it. Willem Dafoe, yeah.
Yes.
Black and white, shot in black and white. It was great. Yeah.
You get so involved in the story, you don't even notice it. Like, it was so great. I was like, okay, maybe he can do it. The trailers looking great, looking good. They put their first trailer together with scraps of footage, and the movie wasn't finished. And looking at that trailer, I always study trailers to see if I'm going to waste my time, and it had me convinced. I'm like, I'm gonna give this a shot. I think they're going to do something. And based off of his second year of being Batman, it's like, okay, this should be interesting. Okay. It explains why the Batmobile looks the way it does. I love the way the Batmobile looked. It looked like something somebody would put together, slap together. That, they're so fresh in their crime-fighting career. And they got some money. Nothing extravagant. It's like a Pro-Am racing truck with a engine he's working on in the movie. The detective stuff in the movie. Love that. these Batman movies don't really explore, the ones we've had, don't really explore that element of the detective work. And just the way he walked around, kind of dark, quiet, eyes shifting everywhere. He's observing the rooms. He's observing everything around him and putting it together. I love that. But as soon as he went to Bruce Wayne, it's like, oh, go fuck it. He was a dark, moody vampire teenager again. It's just like, do you ever smile?
Borderline emo. He was like an emo or or something.
Now, people have been writing it off as, it's supposed to be a reflection of his still troubling pain of dealing with the death of his parents, while at the same time he's doing what he's doing because of the criminal element that took his parents away from him. And that's why he's so moody and dark and antisocial and just emo the way he is. I'm just like, get that out of there. It's been a while. He's had some time to deal with it. But I get it. But does he have to always be dark and dour throughout the whole movie?
Right.
As Bruce Wayne, with his philanthropist, I said that word right, playboy billionaire, you're supposed to put on two different personas. And me, personally, if I'm a citizen of Gotham and I haven't met Commissioner Gordon, the guy that played Jeffrey Wright, he played Commissioner Gordon in this movie. He seems to be the only ally on his side. And if I knew him as Batman and I knew him as Bruce Wayne as two separate people, I would have put that together instantly.
Right.
It's just like,
yeah.
Like, you're Batman, aren't you?
Yeah.
What? No, I'm not. Yeah, you are. I think you are. Oh my God.
You can't fool
But
me.
Riddler, I think Riddler was done nicely. That was a good take on him.
Yeah.
Yet his end game makes no sense. He got caught, and that's it. At least in Christopher Nolan's Batman, Dark Knight, when Joker got himself purposely caught, he had a plan. This movie just has our criminal getting caught, and, well, he's in jail now. Oh, okay. Roll credits. So, okay. Catwoman. I think she's fine. She's fine. Catwoman is a persona that can be personified a lot of different ways, and I have no problem with the way they did her. Seems about right. She's snarky. She's arrogant. She's reckless. Yet she is good when she needs to be. I had no problem with that. Colin Farrell as Penguin, loved it. Love that. And our boy Andy Serkis as Alfred, he was good. He didn't get enough screen time, if you ask me. But he was good. He was a nice element. Overall, I didn't like the Bruce Wayne stuff.
Yeah.
And the one element that really took me out of the movie, but I stuck with it, this fucker he was he was basically a Mary Sue. He was invincible. He's getting shot all the time by the semi-automatic fire, automatic fire. He's just walking through it like he's Iron Man. That's like, one of those things could reflect off of you and hit you in the eye. You want to move your arm or anything. No, he just walks in the gunfire. He survived a bomb blast right at ground zero of the blast. I'm like, okay, that's where the movie lost.
Yeah.
Like, the bomb blew up in your face.
I like the twist.
Wake up.
Yeah. I like the twist, Shane, though, about his dad, about Bruce Wayne's dad, where maybe he wasn't such a moral, upstanding citizen. I thought Bruce Wayne was disillusioned a little bit. I don't want to give everything away for those that haven't seen The Batman, but it was kind of cool, I thought, that it shows his dad might be a little shady. I don't know. I thought that was cool. I'd never seen that before in the stories. But
that was a nice element. It was a different take on why Thomas Wayne was shot. I did like that. It made sense. It definitely accounts for more than we've gotten, at least in the cinematic universe. It works. It definitely works. I also like the angle that Joaquin Phoenix's Joker took too. That was a nice element of the story of why he shot. Property. Now these are. It's funny with those two storylines of Thomas Wayne's death are both movies that are not in the DCEU, and I find it interesting how movies that are not concurrent in the DCEU are better than the ones in their little cinematic universe they're trying to build with a string of movies. It's like, why don't you guys do more of this stuff over here and not this Suicide Squad, Batman versus Superman, all of that stuff?
Yeah.
Because you're winning more over here with this off-book stuff. I'd like to see more of that out of DC. And perhaps DC might get a leg up. They're especially getting a boost off of Peacemaker, that TV series. They could possibly jump ahead of Disney. I could see. Because Disney's just going off the rails with things right now. And especially with the stuff that's going on down there in Florida politically.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to take a hit. You got to make up for it on screen. What are you going to do? Oh, we're going to make 50% of our characters LBG, da-da-da-da. Oh, that's okay, that's, yeah. So, DC, what y'all got in the books? Oh, Peacemaker Season 2. Awesome. I'll be waiting for it. I'm shooting my butt over to DC a little bit more now. They seem like they got somebody over there doing something right, yet still making crazy decisions, but they're getting there. They're getting there.
Have you seen Moon Knight yet? Have you seen Moon Knight yet?
I watched the first episode of Moon Knight. That is a cluttered mess.
Yeah.
I get the storyline. I get it. I'm scared to watch the second episode because the Disney Plus shows, they just seem to have a formula to where they go 2 to 3 good episodes and then they go off the rails.
Yeah.
This happened with Winter Soldier. All of them. Every one of them. They just go off the rails.
Hawkeye was the one I didn't like. Hawkeye was the one I liked the least. I just thought the CGI was weak in it and just very unrealistic. Like in that last episode, all right, you mean to tell me you're in the city that was attacked on 9/11 and the tree, the great Christmas tree goes down. It takes the cops, 45 minutes to show up? I thought that was unrealistic. I mean, yeah, we suspend our disbelief. These are superheroes. These aren't real beings, superpowers flying around and everything. But I thought it was unbelievable, too, that 19, 20-year-old girl could take out a whole mob army in the first episode. Did you see Hawkeye?
Yes.
I don't know. Those are just my little gripes there.
I watched the first 3 episodes of Hawkeye. Hawkeye lost me at the opening credits of the first episode.
Oh, so you didn't see the finale. Oh, and they brought back that stupid, well, I won't say stupid. It was funny at first, that Broadway take on the Avengers. It was a joke, where he's disgusted watching this Broadway song and dance routine of actors playing the Avengers doing songs and dances. They did that again in the 6th episode. They brought that back, that shtick.
Yeah, they had that in the first episode, too.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't needed to be brought back. We got it the first time. Yeah. Buddy, I think what it was, I think they were trying to give some of their buddies that were shut down. This was probably filmed during the heart of the pandemic when Broadway was shut down, and these were clearly Broadway actors. I think they were just trying to give them some help, a paycheck, and so they brought them back for the 6th episode. But just from a fan and in the story, it wasn't needed to do that again in the 6th episode. Anyway.
But yeah,
it was stupid.
The opening credits of the first episode, you're going to tell me the show's called Hawkeye, and what I'm seeing is a montage of Kate Bishop's accomplishments. It's like, hold on, whose show is this?
Right.
And the whole series is like that. Whose show is this exactly? Kate Bishop is such a mediocre character in the Marvel universe. It's just like, why are y'all pushing? Oh, I know why you're pushing.
Yeah.
Because that's the Disney path right now. Women are great. Women do everything better than men. Okay, fine. You can do that, but do it tastefully. I mean, we have this problem. See, this is one thing I've argued with people about, how with Morbius here, they're saying Jake Leto's been in the worst DC movie and the worst Marvel movie. And it's like, hold on, which one are you calling the worst Marvel movie? And they're trying to say Spider-Man Far. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
Fine.
there's definitely
What are you calling the worst DC movie? They're trying to say Suicide Squad where he played Joker. I'll argue with that one. Aquaman is crap.
I enjoyed it, actually. I thought it was pretty funny. Some of the lines. I mean, if you look at it, with not too serious an eye, I don't know. I thought it was all right.
But to argue with the worst Marvel movie, I'll raise you a Captain Marvel. That movie was just, but we got to introduce her. And then a strong contender with that one is Black Widow. Now, it's nothing about the universal mantra of the internet Disnoids that say, oh, you didn't like the movie because it's got women and there's a woman star. It's like, no, I don't care about that. I don't like the movie because it's not good.
Right.
It's written poorly. Oh, man, you want to talk about that? You said you saw Ambulance, right? You want to talk about poorly written movies? Also starring Jake Gyllenhaal, another reality. Oh, Jesus.
You saw it? You saw Ambulance?
I watched it tonight. As soon as I got off work, I pulled it up, and I tried watching it to talk to you about it. Michael Bay is never going to change. This is his cinematic excrement, probably the top of everything he's done. I mean, okay. First off, this movie is based off of a 2005 movie called Ambulance. Foreign film, I think it's French or something. I don't know. I'm going to find this movie and watch it. But the synopsis of that movie is two brothers try to pull off a bank heist, and it goes wrong. They steal an ambulance. So it's essentially the same movie, but with a Michael Bay twist. And the original movie is an hour and 20 minutes long. This was 2 hours and 15 minutes. It's like, how much did you add? So I really want to watch the original. And I made it an hour and 44 minutes into this movie to where I just stopped. And I was like, nope, I'm not watching anymore. I can't believe I made it that far. I was almost there. But it was just the dumb whole plot they had of trying to get away. Oh, we're gonna paint the vehicle we're in and drive right by the cops while they're distracted. You tell me nobody turned their head, but hey, that looks like an ambulance. Nah, that's not what we're looking for. It's neon green. Nah, get that one. I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's what it is. No more. Gyllenhaal, I actually liked him in this movie. I like his silly banter, his silly lines, his comical bad guy stuff. He reminded me a lot of Timothy Oliphant in Die Hard 4. Just kind of goofy, zany lines. Even a little bit of Fifth Element, Gary Oldman. But
Great actor.
A little over the top, a little extreme, but kind of nice and bright. I think it was he played it well. And then his sidekick, his brother, our boy Candyman, I can't say his name to save my life. This guy he's making his way through Hollywood. Yaha Martinez. He's making his way through Hollywood. Played Morbius in the new Matrix movie, which was just a doofy, over-the-top role. I think he was trying his best to imitate Lawrence Fishburne, but put too much of his own comical element on it. And I just didn't know what to do with that guy in that movie. That's a video I'm still working on because there's so much stuff in the movie. I might have to break it up into 2 parts. So I got so much to say about the damn movie.
Well, Shane, what's your favorite Michael Bay movie? Do you have a favorite? I like The Island from 2005. That's just me. But do you have a favorite? Or do you not like his work?
He did Armageddon.
Yeah.
I do like Armageddon. As cheesy as it is, give him that one. And then he just pissed me off with Transformers and Ninja Turtles and his obsession with, what's her name, Megan Fox.
Yeah.
That's so irritating. His obsession with saying how young girls need to be sexually exploited. It's like, dude, come on. Stop it. Stop putting this in your movie. Surprisingly enough, that wasn't in this movie yet. But we had to have the hottest EMT in the world to be in the story of the hospital.
Sure.
Like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Why not? We'll give you that. How old is she, Michael? Is she a 17-year-old trainee? No! She's a veteran on the job. She hates the job. Yeah, okay. But she decides to give a damn, finally, during this one incident. But, that's an interesting character shift early in the movie. Fine. Let's keep going. And, man, the script of this movie, just classic Michael Bay. Classic, just say random lines, try to get that little stab of humor in there. What I didn't like was this movie starts off like John Q. Main character has a family member that needs screen to get him that medical care. John Q. Okay. Go ahead. What else you got? There were diehard elements in it. You got
right. Shane,
diehard one. They're robbing the bank.
Robbing the bank.
Jake Gyllenhaal, he's playing the main bank guy, the manager. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna play you for a ruse, Mr. Officer. Blah 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 blah. Oh, we're really doing this. And now, let's have a hour and a half long police chase. And the line is dropped by Gyllenhaal himself. He says, "We are a locomotive. We don't stop." And all I could think of was the movie Unstoppable.
Right.
With Denzel Washington. I was like, we're doing this. Hey, how much gas you got today? The gas tank is never addressed in this movie. I'm just going to assume it's full. Fine. They kept moving. They never stopped. Oh, what movie is that? Speed. I was like, what are you doing, movie? What are you doing, Michael? God damn it. I just thought the movie was really contrived.
Okay, so was it an homage or a ripoff? Did it feel like a ripoff?
A collection of classicness. Now, how do you want to define that? In the sense they did it, I say ripoff. I wouldn't call it an homage because it wasn't done tastefully. It wasn't done carefully. It was done in classic Michael Bay style with shaky cam, constant zoom shots, lens flare. Hey, that's a J.J. Abrams tactic. Yeah. What are you doing, Mike? Yeah. God, the lens flare. And the shaky
going back to Lost on that, yeah. Man.
I never understood the shaky cam in movies. You know, the camera's not on the person. That's another great Jake Gyllenhaal movie. It's very underrated. A lot of people don't like it. End of Watch, where him and Michael Pena are L.A. cops, and he's pretty much like documenting. Jake Gyllenhaal is documenting like his day out on the beat and shit, and just kind of showing shit they go through. He's making the video for, I forgot who he's making the video for, but he's wearing like a pin cam. So that explains the shaky cam, and the shaky cam wasn't like a body cam footage itself. It was more like the shaky cam they do in movies. So
a colonoscopy,
nauseating.
Like a medical cam, colonoscopy or something.
Yeah, it wasn't nauseating. And getting caught up with the story that they were telling, I didn't notice the shaky cam. It just kind of faded away. It felt like I was kind of watching, maybe Cops or something, or
right.
PD Live or something. It felt good. But this movie is just the cam's shaking for no reason. They're getting on an elevator and the shaky cam. Like, why? What's shaking this image right now?
What's shaking, baby? Yeah. Well, I've got to tell you, I really appreciate your time, man, and I think you have a very unique take on the movies, You make movies yourself. Tell people about your YouTube channel.
Oh, we are at 62210 on YouTube. I'm on a bit of a hiatus right now, but I got some other reviews on there because I'm really trying to pound out this Matrix Resurrections review. But I think in the meantime, I'm gonna do one on Ghostbusters Afterlife. Just my thoughts on that little gem of a project.
But it's high production value. I mean, it looks very, very professional what you put out there. Looks really good.
I try. I can do better. It's always a work in progress. Always. But I just love to give my non-filtered takes on movies. I don't bow down to a group above me that says, "Don't say something good, say something good." No, I'm gonna tell you how I feel about it. I'm gonna tell you the other things.
Thank God. I hate suck-ups.
That they don't want you to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, screw all that. If a movie's good, I will praise it. But all this stuff that they just pumping out in Hollywood to fill butts and seats, no, I'm not going to bow down to that stuff. I can't wait to do my Star Wars sequel videos. But this Ghostbusters Afterlife, I mean, it was better than the 2016 all-female remake. The movie they tried to hide wasn't a remake. It was, no, it's a reimagining. No, it was a complete carbon copy of the original movie. There were terrible jokes in there. There wasn't a script. You can do an all-female Ghostbusters. At least take the time to write a script. Don't let the actors just ad-lib. And that's what they did. That's why the movie is, subjectively, in my opinion, bad. Not because I hate women.
Right.
The movie's just bad.
You didn't like the writing. Yeah. All right. Well,
there was no writing.
You're right, of course, that Marvel does have a pro-female hero, I won't say agenda, but I guess I just did. I mean, you got Squirrel Girl supposedly coming out. You got Thor's going to be a woman. And we'll see how it goes. I'm going to just try to have an open mind with it.
Look, I'm going to be clear.
Natalie Portman's Thor now.
That's fine. Have you female-led movies. That's fine. That's fine. Do it right. The one I love the best that they did, this one is a 50-50 split with the Star Wars fans, is Rogue One. I love the Rogue One.
Oh, I did too.
A lot of people hated it because, what's the point of watching this movie? We know what's going to happen. It's like, it's not the destination, it's the journey. And
well said.
You got Jen Erso as our lead character, and it's like, yeah, okay, she's going to die at the end, but I want to see what happens. And she, had character development to where she went from being the scared little girl to a strong female leader.
Yes. Yes.
You want to talk about a strong female character development, we talk Sarah Connor. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know your stuff, man. That's a great tie-in, Sarah Connor. And the end of that Rogue One, where it tied into the very first Star Wars movie, as most people know, A New Hope, is what they titled it when it was re-released in like 1981. But that was just, my hairs are standing on end. That scene where you see Darth Vader invading that Rebel blockade runner ship. That was awesome. And to see Grand Moff Tarkin young with the CGI, with the technology to bring back from the dead Peter Cushing, that was just amazing what they did.
Oh, we're going to have to talk about that. It was kind of janky.
Well, but now they could do it even better. Technology's just evolved so much. I mean, that was like 5-6 years ago?
Series.
Yeah. I thought they did a good job.
Series, what they did with Mark Hamill on that is like, wow, I thought I was looking at Mark Hamill.
Right.
Grand Moff Tarkin, he was, it's like, you can kind of tell a little bit, but that's if you're looking too hard. But yeah, it still was. It was good. It was decent.
And Shane, there's amateurs out there on YouTube channels that are producing incredible content that have been hired by the big studios.
Yes, they are.
I mean, on a shoestring budget. It's amazing what people can accomplish with a little bit of creativity and love and passion for what they're doing a video about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, man, you have a great weekend. I appreciate your time, Shane. I'm going to talk about this big auction, Fantastic Four 1, that sold for $1,500,000 the other day.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Got a couple big auctions, some records that were set. But, man, I appreciate your time, my man. And I'll wrap with you later, hopefully, about another big blockbuster release.
I appreciate you definitely extending the invitation to me. I
Thank you, Shane. Likewise. Have a good weekend.
All right, that was great.
All right, bye. That was Shane B, everybody. Now, I want to get to the nostalgia. I put this on the Nostalgic Podblast Facebook group live. I should have done it on my personal, but because I didn't want people to be irritated because I wasn't talking about nostalgia. We're talking about new movies. However, going to segue into some classic stuff. Not going to go too long tonight. And I'm going to try to buzz our friend Al Hardee. He saw Ambulance. He's probably going to have a different take on those two movies, but I want to just space it out a little bit, talk about some nostalgia before we cover the same ground that we already did. He wants to talk about Morbius, and like me, I don't want to steal his thunder, but he had a better take than the critics and Rotten Tomatoes out there. I didn't think it was as horrible as I was led to believe it is, but talk about that in a moment. But as I just mentioned to Shane, a copy of Fantastic Four #1 just sold for $1,500,000 at auction. Here's an article from April 7th, 2022. And now this was, by the way, graded a 9.2 by CGC. Here's a graded 5.5. I have my collection, if you're watching on camera, of issue 7. I don't have many graded comics. I'm going to put it up there for the camera there. That's issue 7. It's nowhere near, of course, worth $1.5 million, but just for a visual aid, there you go. Let me read this article to you that I found, because I don't want to misstate anything. A copy of Fantastic Four #1, graded by the CGC Comics Grading Company, and they graded it a 9.2 out of 10, with 10 being perfect, has just been sold for a record $1,500,000, as I've said 3 times now. Now, this is not in the article. Just to give you some quick origin of this comic book, it first hit newsstands back in August of 1961. And at the time, Marvel wasn't really Marvel Comics. They were Timely Comics, and they had monster titles. Monsters were really big in those days. Think about what was on television. You had, like in 1963, The Outer Limits. You had the Munsters. You had the Addams Family. You had magazines. You had famous monsters of filmland. You had just a big craze in the early to mid 1960s about monsters. So that was the focus. And you had war comics as well. War comics. Superheroes were really out and hadn't really been developed by Marvel yet. That didn't happen until 1962 because of the success of the Fantastic Four. And the cover date was November 1961. A lot of people are confused, even in the industry. I've seen a lot of documentaries on AMC, for instance, and even the tribute to Stan Lee when he passed away on ABC, owned by Disney. Talked about how Fantastic Four 1 was released in November 1961 to the public. No, it was August. The month of November is the expiration date of the comic for distribution purposes. That's when the guy or gal stocking the shelf is supposed to remove the comic book. So the reason I bring that up is think about what's going on in August. Back in those days, you didn't go back to school until after Labor Day, right? So August, that's like the dog days of summer. Kids are bored. It makes perfect sense to me that Fantastic Four #1, not only because of the great writing by Stan Lee and the artwork by Jack Kirby, I think it was just good timing and good luck. It sold so well that Stan Lee, who began as an editor and he was a writer at this point, and he was very disenchanted with writing comic books. He felt like he wanted to be a novelist. He wanted to be a serious writer, and he felt that working in the comic industry was a little beneath his talent. But money talks, and when FF1 hit in August 61 and was a big success, it was bi-monthly. The next issue came out 2 months later, which introduced the Skrulls, which were the villains in the movie Captain Marvel. It was the first time we saw him in the Marvel movies that Shane B brought up when we were talking with him a moment ago. But getting on with this article here, that was just some backstory of Fantastic Four issue 1, which was released in August of 1961. So a copy of Fantastic Four #1, 9.2 grade by CGC, has just been sold for a record, say it for the 4th time, $1,500,000 at this afternoon sessions. This is on April 7th, 2022. Of the Comics and Art Signature Auction, number 7270 at Heritage Auctions. The November 1961 cover-dated comic book. Good. They insert. Thank goodness they didn't just say the November 1961 comic book. So they didn't clarify it was released in August. Again, I think it matters. It matters. It makes sense why it was so popular with young people. By the way, in the 60s, do you know, and I've said this before in the Podblast, but no one hears everything. I mean, I'm lucky if anyone hears me at all. But I've noted that, and it's a fact, back in the beginning, it wasn't kids that were the primary buyers of these Marvel comic books. No, it was college students and soldiers that were in Vietnam. It's absolutely true. So these were written by Stan Lee on an adult level. These weren't like Saturday morning cartoons. These were not Saturday morning cartoons. They really weren't. They were very well written, well plotted, and it was brilliant what Stan Lee did, bringing back Thor, who of course he didn't create. That's from Norse mythology, the god of thunder, in 1962, and then Spider-Man, the Incredible Hulk. Anyway, I could do, and I will do, an entire nostalgic podblast on Marvel comic books, but I just want to get through this article here. So, the November 1961 cover-dated comic book, Fantastic Four #1 by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. Oh, it does say was released on August 8th, 1961. Good on them. Let me give credit to this. Obviously, I haven't read the article yet. I didn't even intend to do a podblast tonight. It was just a last-minute thing. Mark, S-E-I, hear me clearly, Seifert. S-E-I-F-E-R-T, Seifert, wrote this article. And I commend him for getting it right, unlike most people, including TV specials. So the November 1961 cover-dated comic book by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee was released on August 8th, 1961, and is the beginning of what became the integrated Marvel universe of superheroes in the Silver Age of comic books. The issue introduced the team of Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, his alter ego, who was a scientist, the Invisible Girl. He wrote the Invisible Woman. The original name of the character was the Invisible Girl. John Byrne in the 80s brought it up to date with the in post-feminism movement to the Invisible Woman. And her character is Sue Storm. She eventually marries Reed Richards and becomes Sue Richards. Her brother, Johnny Storm, becomes the Human Torch, who can flame on and become a big, literally flying flame of torch, a flamethrower in the sky. And then Ben Grimm became the Thing, a big pile of mud in the beginning. And then later, as different artists, including Jack Kirby, evolved the way the Thing looked, he became like a pile of rocks in appearance. So they all gained their superpowers after being exposed to cosmic rays during an unauthorized rocket mission into outer space. The title, The Fantastic Four, went on to become a Marvel cornerstone franchise over the subsequent decades. This result is far and away the highest price ever paid for a copy of The Fantastic Four #1, at least at a public sale, where it's on record. The previous record holder was a CGC graded 9.4 copy of Fantastic Four, Issue 1, sold by Metropolis Collectibles back in 2011 for $300,000. Another copy, one of two, census-topping CGC graded 9.6 copies, that means it's the highest graded copy known thus far that's been graded, changed hands in a cash trade deal valued at around $450,000 in 2008 when the economy crashed. By way of comparison, the first appearance of Spider-Man in Amazing Fantasy number 15, CGC graded 9.6 out of 10, 10 being perfect, sold for a record $3,600,000 back in September 2021. That's the record of a graded comic book sale. Fantastic Four. Here's some notes on the issue of FF1 that just sold. Fantastic Four #1, Marvel, 1961. Near mint, 9.2 grade white pages. Because the pages eventually, in most comic books, will, because of the coloring chemicals and the agents in the chemicals used to color the pages and the artwork, will turn the pages yellow and sometimes brown. So it's kind of rare to find a comic book of this age that still has white pages or off-white pages. So where was I in the article here? Yeah, this this is what I like. This gets me excited, and then we'll move on to another topic. This is the most stunning copy of the premier Marvel Age issue we've ever seen since we've offered the White Mountain copy over 8 years ago in the same grade and page quality. No other copy we've offered in our 20-plus year comic auctioning history comes close to this beauty. Frankly, it looks nicer than 9.2. But even at 9.2, it has few peers in the CGC census. That's the grading company. At the time the issue was published in 1961, Marvel was far behind DC in superhero title offerings. I already talked about that briefly. This book was the beginning of a remarkable renaissance that saw Marvel catch up and pass DC. He should have said surpass, but he said pass, doesn't matter, DC in the superhero consciousness of comic collectors, a perch it has maintained now for decades. Without showing off their new group as a guest appearance in another title or in a tryout issue, Stan Lee and Jack Kirby boldly launched the title that by its third issue was already being touted as the world's greatest comic magazine. This guy screwed it up. He says the greatest comic magazine in the world. Maybe that was the way, I think that might have been the way it was phrased in the third issue, but after that, it's always been the world's greatest comic magazine. By the way, the Fantastic Four didn't even get their costumes until the third issue. They just wore plain clothes in the first couple issues. Little factoid there. So, of course, Fantastic Four 1 was the origin and first appearance of the Fantastic Four, Marvel's first superhero team of Mr. Fantastic, the Theme, the Human Torch, and the Invisible Girl. Also featured was the origin and first appearance of the Mole Man, the villain. Jack Kirby was never better than with this cover and interior story art contribute. Oh, Jesus, I am messing up bad, folks. Sorry, I can't read. Jack Kirby was never better than with his cover and interior story art contributions for the title's first 101 issues of the Fantastic Four. Okay, that's an opinion. He's saying the art was of his best in this series in his entire career. Was the best work was in the Fantastic Four, which is debatable. Could say Incredible Hulk, could say Captain America. We'll talk about Captain America in just a second. Fantastic Four number 1 is currently number 3 on Overstreet's list of top 50 Silver Age comics. And Overstreet used to have a guide, I think they still do, a big, thick annual, basically a price guide. This is before grading companies, before the internet. You relied on this book that Overstreet would publish, and it would have grades, near mint, near mint, very fine, fine, good, very good. Just a whole grading scale, and it would have prices next to the grades of each comic book in alphabetical and numerical order. So anyway, according to Overstreet's list of top 50 Silver Age comics, and from Overstreet's 2020 edition until its 2021 edition, it has appreciated in value at a faster clip than all of the other issues in the top 25. Talking about Fantastic Four issue 1. Overstreet's 2021 near mint 9.2 value was only $200,000, $210,000. So this way surpassed that with $1,500,000, obviously. The free market dictates price, right? Love it. So the bids just took over. And it is a gorgeous copy. I wish I could show it to you. So there you go. That blows my mind. That's great. Now here's another quick article from the New York Times. Another big sale. The first issue of Captain America fetches $3.1 million at auction. This article is by Vimal Patel, I guess from India originally, or of Indian descent. With the sale, Captain America joined Superman and Spider-Man in having debut issues that topped $3 million at auction. A copy of the first Captain America comic book, by the way, this is from the golden age of comics from World War II era. This is from like the 1940s. Now, not to be confusing, but I've just got to back up. There was an issue in 1939, which sold for big money recently, Marvel Comics #1, but it had a robot version of the Human Torch and other characters. Okay, so it is confusing. I think Marvel Comics started in August of 1961 in terms of the Marvel age of comics that we know and love today. But Captain America was around in the 40s. It was a propaganda tool pro-allies against the Axis powers in the World War II conflict. And you saw Captain America punching out Adolf Hitler right on the cover of the book. Now, these books are the golden age of comics, were larger size comic books than the ones in the Silver Age and the ones today. I've never collected Golden Age. That's just me. I like the Silver Age. I collect primarily 1960. That's 1960 to 1993. That's my wheelhouse. That's what I like to collect personally. Let's see. So this issue, this is going back to 1941, March of 1941 to be exact. This is a very brief article, and then we'll move on to another topic. I want to talk about John Schneider and some other pop culture personalities that we all know and love, I hope. Everyone has an opinion. So, First issue of Captain America comic book fetches $3.1 million at auction. With the sale, Captain America joined Superman and Spider-Man in having debut issues that topped $3 million at auction. A copy of the first Captain America comic book featuring the memorable cover image of the superhero socking a stunned Hitler while fending off Nazi bullets fetched more than $3.1 million at auction on Thursday, becoming one of the world's priciest comic books. The near mint copy of Captain America #1, the creation of Jack Kirby and Joe Simon, was dated March 1941, 9 months before the United States entered World War II. It was sold to an unidentified bidder at an event conducted by Heritage Auctions, which is based in Dallas, Texas. I assume, not Dallas, Georgia. They didn't specify the state. There is a Dallas, Georgia. I'm in the state of Georgia. I assume it's Dallas, Texas. With the sale, well, Heritage Auctions, everyone knows, is in Dallas, Texas, so I digress. With the sale, which officials said was the fourth highest priced comic book to sell at auction, Captain America joined, this guy's repetitive in his writing, joined Superman and Spider-Man in having debut issues that topped $3 million at auction. Yeah, you already said that, and I said that, and I sound like an idiot, repeating myself like a parrot. The comic book with the highest auction selling price was the first appearance of Spider-Man, a near-perfect copy of Amazing Fantasy #15 from 1962, also sold by Heritage Auctions in 2021 for $3.6 million. That's the record. It beat Action Comics #1 from 1938, first appearance of Superman. DC Comics. Two copies of Superman's first appearance, Action Comics #1, occupy the second and third spots. I need to read ahead. See, I whipped this together so fast I didn't read the article. I said that. I shut up and just read it. Anyway, I wouldn't have repeated myself. The auction was further evidence that high-end vintage comic book sales have exploded in recent years, with 3 of the 4 highest-priced comic books sold at auction within the last 8 months, according to data provided by Heritage. The sales are fueled by a resurgence of interest in superheroes attributable to blockbuster films and the COVID-19 pandemic, which has heightened the desire for collectibles. Barry Sandoval, vice president of Heritage Auctions, said in an interview late Thursday. He remembers the thrill in February 2010 when Heritage sold its first comic for more than $1 million, a copy of Detective Comics #27 from 1939. He didn't say that. I'm adding that because I know. Which was the debut of Batman. So, gonna move on, and I'm gonna see if I can reach this guy on the phone just to talk about Morbius again. I think he has a positive take on it, and from a different perspective, a perspective of technical expertise from Mr. Al Hardee. But again, I asked last week, is Morbius a hot mess or a not mess? Or neither of the above? And I liked it. I didn't think it was as bad as people said it was, but I'm going to try to reach Al on the phone and see if he has a couple minutes to talk about Morbius. And it's only in theaters, by the way. Let me do this here. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. Da, 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 da.
Yes.
Mr. Hardee,
Yes.
you're on the air real quick. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Thank you for taking my call. I wanted to know, I know that you saw, as I did, Morbius. I saw it today. You saw it yesterday. Do you have a couple seconds just to tell me what you thought of the movie?
Well, you're more of a Marvel guy, and, not knowing a lot about the Marvel movies, as I mentioned before, I went and saw Morbius, and I was pleasantly surprised. Now you tell me he was introduced back in, 1964?
No, 1971, an Amazing Spider-Man issue 101. Close enough.
Right. Well, it's a movie really about bats and vampires, because he invented this synthetic blood to survive on, but that only goes so far, and then he has to rely on human blood to survive. And it's
because he's a cripple. I don't think we've established he's crippled.
Well,
it shows him as a child. Yeah.
He was crippled as a child, and so when he drinks the blood and becomes this really strong vampire type character, and so it's just really entertaining. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie, and I thought Jared Leto was very good in that part. I happen to like him as an actor anyway, and thought he did a fantastic job.
Yes, and you warned me you thought I would think it was slow in the beginning, and I did not, where it shows the origin. Actually, that didn't bother me. I didn't find that slow at all.
Well, yeah, the origin, they do kind of set it up to how he became what he was. But once it gets going, and his best friend, of course, is a vampire, and so it comes down to the final, battle scene, because Morbius knows that he is basically doomed, and his friend wants to kind of like go on and continue and just wreak havoc.
And what's going on, Al? I'm not trying to interrupt you, but both these young men have a disease like MS. We don't know what it is. I don't think it's ever explained, and it shows them as children, as boys.
Right.
And
well,
so
the movie opens up, and when they go to the cave where the bats are, you remember, and he cuts his hand, but it goes back to 25 years earlier, and it tells the story how he got where he was.
Right. And so Michael Morbius, the title character, is a scientist, and he dedicates his life to curing himself. And this other character, his friend...
Made by Matt Smith is the actor.
Thank you.
He's a British actor, yes.
Right. And he doesn't have permission. He takes the blood. He drinks the blood to cure himself, and he gets addicted to it. But he doesn't have the scruples. He wants to go out and take human blood. This is synthetic blood that Michael Morbius created, so he won't have to take a human life. But as you said, It's only going to work for so long. His cure.
That's right. And, the doctor that worked with him, and the movie set, I won't give the ending of it, but it's set up to have a sequel, actually.
Yeah.
There'll be a sequel to it. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's not over long. It's 1 hour and 44 minutes, which is a good length. It's not a long movie, and so, but it holds your interest. Well, it did for me from the beginning till the end.
Well, good. And when you told me you didn't think it was that bad, I said, well, then I guess I'll go check it out. And I did. I'm glad I did.
A lot of people didn't care for it, and I didn't really know what to expect when I went to see it. But like I said, I was pleasantly surprised, and I was highly entertained by it. And when you go see it, like any Marvel movie, stay till the end credits.
Right. And Shane talked about it, and he sort of let one of the cats out of the bag, and that's okay. It's already been revealed that Michael Keaton's in it. at the very end in a couple scenes.
Right. He's in the clip at the in a teaser at the end.
He's reprising a role he played in Spider-Man Homecoming from 2017, the first modern Spider-Man movie. Yeah.
I think we watched that here at my place, if I remember correctly.
We did on Blu-ray. Yep, on my Blu-ray.
Right. But no, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I recommend it. Like I said, it's different. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't look like a Marvel movie, if you want to call it a Marvel movie. It just looks like a highly entertaining story about these two guys, and from where they were in the beginning to where they end up. I mean, it's just, I recommend it. I like the movie a lot.
And there's no humor, and it's not overly dark, and it's not gory. There's some chills in it, but I think it's a good balance. It's
not gory. It's not that gory, and it has some pretty good scenes there at the end. Within the final between the two, they have to, they finally get together and hammer each other out, or whatever you want to call it. But I recommend it, and if you're not a Marvel guy, if you don't know anything about it, you can still go to the movie and be highly entertained.
You don't need to know what's going on, right? It's a standalone movie.
It's a standalone movie. Like I said, if it didn't have the Marvel logo and stuff, a lot of people just wouldn't know. If they're not comic book fans, they won't know. I mean, they'll go see it and enjoy it. But most of the people that go to these movies are Marvel comic book fans.
Sure.
They know what the story is.
But even if you're a Vampire Diaries fan, you'll like it. You know what I mean? It's more like there was a vampire craze that Twilight started in like the mid 2000s, and it's a movie with fangs, and I think it's got a good bite. I really enjoy it. I like your pun. It's got a good bite.
A movie with fangs that has a good bite to it.
Yeah, that's good. All right.
Well, and Jared Leto is he's a good actor. He's come a long way. He's a musician. He plays in a band too.
Right.
So I think he's a very talented person. He was actually in House of Gucci. He had a part in that. But he's a good actor. I enjoy seeing him on screen.
Did you like the special effects? It did not seem cheap to me. I thought it was fine.
The special effects are very good, especially in the end where on the subway train. I won't give a lot away, but it was, and it's not overly gory. I mean, he looks when he transforms himself. I mean, it's not overly gory. It's nothing that'll really gross you out. It's just fun.
I can't remember the name of the guy, the villain, but when he's a little kid, do you remember the name of the character? It's okay. I'm not trying to put you on the spot because I can't remember myself.
Well, no,
Shane said it, and I can't remember. I could look it up.
Yeah, Matt Smith is the actor, is a grown person. I'm not sure,
Well, only reason I asked, it was sad in a scene in the beginning where it shows him as a kid getting bullied, and they're trying to take his letter from Michael Morbius, and but then I like when the little kid, the kid who, I mean, it's so bad because these bullies are much bigger than him. And they're not crippled. He's a cripple, and he takes that crutch and smashes one of them in the face. I thought that was cool.
Oh, yeah,
when he's fighting back.
It's a very, like I said, it's not overly long or anything like that.
Right.
And it's just like I said, I will probably go for a second viewing at some point.
Well, cool.
I enjoyed it. It was worthy of it.
So that guy. Loxius? That doesn't sound right to me, but it's right in front of my face.
I would have to look it up. I can't remember.
Loxias Crown is the villain's character name. Okay, well.
Right. I think you're right. You can check on that.
I'm probably mispronouncing it.
But you were kind of skeptical at first, but you went and saw it, and you were you liked it.
I was surprised. I was pleasantly surprised. Yeah. It wasn't as bad as I thought. Now, it wasn't my favorite movie, but it's not crap.
Well, no, it's not a great movie, if you want to call it a great movie, but it's a very entertaining movie. It's just the kind of movie that I wouldn't mind seeing a second time. There's some movies I go see I don't care to see again. But, it's worthy of a second viewing. You
said also you noticed some homage, some tributes to some other vampire movies.
Well, yes, you know the ship. I love the scenes where they're on the ship. And the name of the
There's
ship,
an experiment being conducted on this ship.
on the ship,
And they chartered it from goons, like it's ostensibly in the mob or mafia or something. Just some really shady dudes, heavily armed.
Well, you know the ship, the scene on the ship to me was very entertaining.
I thought so too.
You know, it's very entertaining. But did you recognize the name of the ship?
No, I did not.
Well, the cargo ship at the beginning of the movie it was named. Well, the ship is called Manura, and F.W. Manura was the first director of the very first vampire movie, Nosferatu.
Very cool. I thought you said manure. But yeah, I know you're talking about, yeah.
Well, it's spelled M-U-R-N-A-U, Manura. But he directed and that's the name of the ship, the Manura.
And that's one of the scariest vampires I've ever seen in movies, except for in Salem's Lot, that creature at the end, which also was a throwback to that character.
Right. Well, the name of the ship, a lot of people just didn't notice it, but I did.
Cool.
It's, he directed the very first vampire movie, Nosferatu, which was silent.
Right. In black and white. Glorious black and white.
He's a German guy. He directed the very first. But that was the name. They put that was the name of the ship, of the cargo ship.
That's a pretty good observation that went over my head.
Yeah. So a lot of people just didn't know that. But you know, I just, like I said, I enjoyed the movie.
Okay.
There's a line in it. He said there was a line in the movie. He says, "I'm going to turn and hobble very slowly in the other direction." There was a line. He quoted because he was a cripple. He had the crutches.
Right.
And so, I'm going to hobble and slowly move in the other direction. But it's a good movie.
It is. It's not as bad as they say. It really isn't.
No. It's like I said. It's like I said. It's like you can go to the movies and not know anything about the origins of the character and still have a good time.
And the woman in it, there's a female scientist. I don't want to give anything away. She's not really a love interest, but she's an ally to Morbius.
Well, she helps him, yeah.
And I thought at first, when she first was on the screen, I thought it was Halle Berry. She looks a lot like Halle Berry to me. Anyway, I digress. Her name's Adria Arjona.
Arjona or something. Adria Arjona. But Matt Smith was Milo, and Jared Leto was Michael Morbius.
Yeah, she sure is pretty in that movie. But I thought that was when she first came on the screen. I thought that was Halle Berry. She looks a lot like Halle Berry. Anyway.
Oh, she does. She does favor her quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. The character's name, the young Michael is Joseph Essen. Joseph Essen's his name.
Okay.
And so, it's like I said, go see it, have a good time.
Yeah, and you saw one I haven't seen, Venom 2, which is another Sony Marvel movie pertaining to the Spider-Man universe that's not Disney owned.
I didn't see the earlier Venom movies, but I saw that one.
I'm the opposite. I saw Venom 1, but not the second one yet. I'll check it out.
The second one's very entertaining. It's very good. I liked it a lot.
Now, I know we'll talk about this another time in greater detail, but you saw a movie tonight, Ambulance, right, that Shane was talking about. Real quick, did you like it or not?
With Jay Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the movie a lot. I was pleasantly surprised. A lot of people have trashed it, but the only thing, it's a little too long. It could have about maybe 30 minutes cut out, but it's really a nonstop ride from beginning to end. And Jake Gyllenhaal is very good as a guy who robs a bank, him and his buddy, of $32 million. And basically, they hijack an ambulance through L.A., and the whole movie is they're trying to catch them. And there's a cop that has been shot inside the ambulance, and this lady is taking care of him, and they're held hostage. And it's the whole chase through, it's a Michael Bay film. You know, he did the Transformer movies. He's kind of a B movie director, in my opinion, but I was highly entertained by this, and it's like I said, you know, it's over 2 hours, but the time goes by quick because there's nothing but action to the whole movie.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's got great sound. You said some people complained it was too loud, but I think it had terrific sound.
Okay.
You know,
It was the soundtrack that was too loud, I heard.
The soundtrack, you have the sound coming from all around you, and the bullets, and it's just.
That's what I like. See, I would like that. I love, that's why I liked The Batman in the theater with that AMC Dolby. It was just incredible sound. It was remarkable.
Ambulance has this. It should be nominated for. The sound is terrific. The way they mixed it. I mean, it's just really good. Where even if you have helicopters going across the screen, you hear it coming on the walls and around you and everything. It's just got great sound.
I think a lot of these critics, Al, that trash these movies, saw them at their home. They didn't see them in a theater. It makes a big difference where you see the movie.
Well, that's true. I mean, you have to see them on a big screen to really appreciate the movie. But Ambulance is, like I said, I was very, and like I said, it was very good. I enjoyed it. It's not a great movie by no means, but it's very entertaining, and it's nice to see Jake Gyllenhaal kind of play a villainous person. He's really pretty bad at it.
He was a villain in as Mysterio and Spider-Man: Far Away From Home that we saw. Anyway,
right? That's true. He was. But, like I said, it's a Michael Bay movie, but and I like the credits on it, the end credits. I like the way Michael Bay does the end credits on his movies. They're kind of entertaining. Well,
did you hear? I don't know if you were listening. Did you hear about those big auctions? A Fantastic Four issue 1 sold for $1.5 million the other day. 9.2 grade. Anyway, I already talked about it. And
right, that's a lot of money.
$3.1 million for Captain America 1 from 1941. Right. Anyway, it just blows my mind. Anyway.
All right, well,
for
listen,
paper. Yeah.
And have a good show. And like I said, we'll talk more about. There's some other movies coming out that I want to check out in the theaters also.
Okay, good. Sounds good. Maybe we'll catch them together, like right, Siskel and Ebert. All right, man. Thank you.
Okay, bud.
All right, bye.
See you. Bye.
Al Hardee. So I'm just going to go on just for a little bit longer, and then I'll end this Podblast. All right, so I talked last time about Moon Knight. This is very heavy about Marvel comic books and superheroes and stuff, so if you're not into that, I'm sure you've already tuned out by now. But I just wanted to quickly follow up on Moon Knight. Episode 2 dropped this past week. I really enjoy it. I think that Disney's doing a really good job with the Marvel and the MCU. It's actually the Marvel Comics universe, their production. It's sort of a separate entity, if you will, even though overall Disney owns it. I don't think they interfere with the creative process. At least that's my understanding. And I think Moon Knight's really, really cool. And the costume looks just like it did in the comics. So let me get past some comic book talk here and talk about some birthdays. Only got about 10. I'm not going to be heavy on the clips, except for James Garner. I do want to play some interesting pieces of audio from him that I found. And also The Walking Dead finally ceased production. It began, I was there on the set in the end of August 2010, downtown Atlanta. They closed off Baker Streets on a weekend and put in a big tank. And anyway, I was just an extra, tried out at Zombie School. Had a lot of fun in the first couple years of The Walking Dead, first couple seasons on that set. Mostly in the first 6 episodes, more so than season 2, but I was on the set in season 2, and it's sad to see that end. It's just a remarkable, remarkable show, Walking Dead, which now is a part of nostalgia, and one of the best productions that dealt with the lore of the zombie. Arguably even better than George A. Romero and Night of the Living Dead, and my favorite, Dawn of the Dead, but that's for you to judge. All right, item. Some music notes from April 9th and April 10th. On April 9th, 1970, Paul McCartney quit the Beatles. Yep, and also other Beatle news. On April 10th, 1962, The Beatles' original bass player, 22-year-old Stuart Sutcliffe, died of a brain hemorrhage. Sutcliffe was included in the band because he had the equipment and the place to rehearse, although he couldn't play very well. His girlfriend, Astrid Kircher, created the Beatle haircut for Stu, and John and Paul followed soon after with their own version of that haircut. Sutcliffe can be heard on very early Beatle tracks, including on Anthology 1. He left the band in 1961, the year FF1, Fantastic Four 1 was released in August of that year. He left in 1961 to resume painting because his headaches were getting too severe to play music. Dateline, April 10th, 1976. Peter Frampton went to number 1 on the Billboard album chart with Frampton Comes Alive. The double LP would stay on the chart for 97 weeks and sell over 6 million copies. It is still one of the largest selling live albums of all time, behind Garth Brooks' Double Live, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band Live 1975 to 1985, and the Eagles Live. I'm going to play a quick clip of that song, Baby, I Love Your Way. This is a live version of it. Hopefully I won't get thrown off of my platforms here. Let me find this here for you now. I thought I had that pulled up. This is just a disaster. I'm not very well prepared tonight. I love this song, and it was a great album. Peter Frampton, Baby, I Love Your Way. Where the hell is it? Here it is. All right, here we are. And this is actually from 1975 from the Midnight Video Special. Come on now. God dang it.
Shadows go so long before my eyes, and they're moving across the page. Suddenly the day turns into night, far away from the city. But don't hesitate, 'cause your love won't wait. Ooh, baby, I love you. Wanna tell you I love you. Wanna be with you night and day. Moon appears to shine, and not the sky, with the help of some firefly. I wonder how they have the power to shine, shine, shine. I can't see them under the light, but don't hesitate, 'cause your love won't wait. Ooh, baby, I love you. Wanna tell you I love you.
Every day.
Wanna be with you night and day. sunset in your eyes, brown and gray, so warm besides. Clouds are stalking islands in the sun. I wish I could buy one out of season, but don't hesitate, 'cause your love won't wait. Ooh, baby, I love your way. Wanna tell you I love your way. Wanna be with you night and day. Ooh, baby, I love your way in every way. Wanna tell you I love your way. Ooh, every day. Wanna be with you night and day.
From 1975, Peter Frampton, Baby, I Love Your Way. We've heard that on all sorts of classic rock stations ever since the 70s. So April 10th, 1982, Ebony and Ivory, a duet by Stevie Wonder and Paul McCartney, debuted on the U.S. charts at number 29. It would eventually reach number 1 in both the U.S. and the United Kingdom, becoming Stevie Wonder's first British chart topper. The song listed at number 59 on Billboard's Greatest Songs of All Time, but in October 2007, it was named the worst duet in history by BBC Six music listeners, and these days gets little airplay on either side of the Atlantic. I like that song. I'm not going to play a clip for those that don't dig it. Don't worry. So moving on, music history. This is sad. On April 10th, 2007, a fire destroyed the former home of the late country singer Johnny Cash. The 13,880 square foot house located in the Nashville suburb of Hendersonville, Tennessee, was home to Johnny and his wife June Carter until their deaths in 2003. The property, I thought this was interesting, was purchased by the Bee Gees' Barry Gibb, the surviving brother Gibb, in January 2006. Barry Gibb and his wife Linda had said that they planned to restore the home on Old Hickory Lake and hoped to write songs there. So now I'm just going to cover a few birthdays and then sign off. Let's see. Got to start with this one. Happy heavenly birthday to James Garner, who television audiences loved as Brett Maverick on Maverick, a Warner Brothers show, and later as Private Eye Jim Rockford for 6 television seasons on The Rockford Files on NBC from 1974 to 1980. He had to quit the show due to injuries, due to his health, and you'll hear in his own words what he was going through about that. James Garner, born on Saturday, April 7th, 1928, in Norman, Oklahoma. He sadly passed away on Saturday, July 19th, 2004, at the age of 86. I remember the James Garner Polaroid ads with an actress named Mariette Hartley. People really thought they were married. And James Garner played leading roles in more than 50 theatrical films, including The Great Escape with Steve McQueen, Marlowe with Bruce Lee, Support Your Local Sheriff, and Support Your Local Gunfighter. Oh, dear. And I liked him in this role. There was a movie, it was an Eddie Murphy movie, and it was called The Distinguished Gentleman from 1993, and he played played like a really scummy politician who's like screwing his assistant like on his desk. Oh God, hold that! Oh God, and then he dies of a heart attack right there while he's banging this girl. Sorry, not trying to be crude. And so Eddie Murphy takes his name, and on name recognition alone, he gets elected. It's an underrated Eddie Murphy film. Anyway, I digress. But that was a pretty funny role that James Garner did, a smaller role. But of course, like I said, he was in Support Your Local Sheriff and Support Your Local Gunfighter, Victor Victoria, Murphy's Romance with Sally Field, for which he received an Oscar Award nomination. And he was in later movies like Space Cowboys in the year 2000 and The Notebook in 2004. James Garner acted also in the ABC TV sitcom 8 Simple Rules, which was retitled from the original title, 8 Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter. And he played Jim Egan from 2003 to 2005 after John Ritter had passed away, the star of that show. But I want to play a quick clip of James Garner. These are very brief, but very interesting, talking about the Rockford Files and his genesis of his character. Let me find that for you now. Got it right here. This is James Garner. The source of this is Foundation Interviews YouTube channel. Here's James Garner on the genesis of the Rockford Files.
I guess. I don't know if they had put it out to anybody else or not. But anyway, it was sent to me, I think through Meta Rosenberg, and she kind of liked it. She sent it to me. And it was a character, as I started to say, from another series that Roy was doing. And Steve Cannell said, I like this character. You think I could write a script for it? He said, well, go ahead. And he did. And they sent it to me, and I liked it. And I said, but one thing I want is I want this writer, Steve Cannell, as a writer-producer, because I want him there all the time, because he knew the character.
I did a whole podblast on Steve Cannell. He's a great writer and executive producer of a ton of shows. There's an entire podblast dedicated to it. I think it's podblast number 94, I think. Anyway.
Oh, he was writing them pretty much on staff, and he was doing stuff for Roy, I think, in his company and Universal. But anyway, I wanted him as a writer-producer, and that was part of my stipulation. And I also told Roy, I said, Roy, I've got an executive producer, and I've got a writer-producer. What are you going to do? And he said, well, I'm good fixing scripts and good in the editing room. And I said, fine, okay, because I didn't want him putting his hands on it, really. And that is not that I didn't like Roy, but I knew there'd be terrible conflicts if he did. And I didn't want that. So what happened was, we're into the first year, and I had this scene, and they were sent out some yellow pages on it. And I read it the night before, and I said, this doesn't work. I said, it's not good, it won't work. I prefer what we had. So I went to set the next day, and I started shooting, and I said, this is not going to work. This is terrible. So I called Steve Cannell, and I said, Steve, the new Yellow Pages came back through last night. I said, it doesn't work in scene, whatever it was. He said, well, really? I'll be down to set in a few minutes. I don't have my script there. I'll be down there in a few minutes. He came down, and he looked at these Yellow Pages. He had never seen them. Roy had written them and sent them through without letting anybody else know about it. And so we went back to the original, shot that. And I put out a directive Roy Huggins would not have anything to do with the scripts. Well, Roy went through the roof, of course. But I had to maintain a company here, you know. And Roy was kind of an outside influence to it. And so we kind of got into it over that. Most prolific writer I've seen in many, many years. He could just pour them out. I watched he and David Chase. We needed a script on Monday, and this was like a Wednesday. And they started talking about a storyline. And David or Steve said, I'll write the first half, you write the other half. They put them together on Monday, and they worked. That's how good they were. I was very fortunate. I had the three best writers, and Steve Cannell, David Chase, and Juanita Bartlett, who used to be my secretary. She was mine and Meta Rosenberg's secretary when we were doing Nichols. And she wrote a couple of scripts for Nichols and then started on Rockford.
Now here's James Garner talking about production on the Rockford Files.
All over L.A. and Universal. But we were out of 6 days. We were probably out 3 to 4 on the streets and actual locations. No, you don't have time for rehearsals in television. No. Movies, you have time for rehearsals. You might have time for rehearsal if you're doing a pilot, but that's it. After that, you're on your own. Oh, we get pages. But they were trims and whatever. There wasn't a lot of... As a matter of fact, I think we were 3 days over schedule in 6 years. So everything went very smoothly. And I put together a crew, and I changed the production in that I cut out 8 drivers and trucks. I mean, we're outside 4 days a week. And where do you park all these trucks? And also all these drivers cost you money. So what I did, I got 2 semis. I bought 2 semis, and I outfitted the trailers to carry 3 or 4 different departments in those semis. And that cut out all those trucks. And we were doing them on schedule and on budget. And the second year, Universal sent out some efficiency experts to find out how we could do it and no one else could. And there were 2 things involved. We cut down all this transportation and mess, and they were upset about it because they had to deal with the union to hire so many people. Union came to me, and I had said, why should I spend my money on something I don't need, gentlemen? Don't need them at all. And they ended up making me an honorary Teamster. But it was cutting out the transportation and having people who melded well together. The crew was just a solid group, and they were wonderful. They knew their craft, and if we had a bad apple, he was out like that,
Just a little bit more with James Garner. He's very, very significant in terms of pop culture history, and he's so beloved. Just one of my favorite actors of all time. Here he's talking about the end of the Rockford Files and the injuries that I alluded to earlier. And the source of this is EmmyTVLegends.org.
The doctors told me I had to quit. I went down to Scripps. I was so sick. I was bleeding from about everywhere. I mean, my stomach was gone, my head was gone, my body was gone. They said, you just have to stop. And this is about 2/3 of the way through the season in the last year. And they said, you got to lay off. I said, how long? He said, well, we don't know. We'll check in a month and find out. So I called the studio and I told them. Of course, they immediately sued me, breach of contract. And of course, I knew they weren't going to get anywhere with that when I got doctors after doctors telling me I have to stop. They sued me another time. Remind me where we were here. In the second year when I tore up my knee, and I had a hiatus on the first year I had the knee operated on. And the first day of the second year, I fell down some stairs and tore the knee up again. And I went to the doctor. Well, first I worked all morning until it got up like a balloon. Then I went to the doctor, and he said, you got to go home, get off your leg. So I called him, told him I'm going home. I had to get off my leg. And they threatened to sue me because I was in negotiations with them to get another writer, a raise for Meta, and a raise for Stuart Margolin. And
you played Angel.
I was pulling some sort of ploy.
Stuart Margolin.
That was your leverage.
That was my leverage, and that had nothing to do with it whatsoever. What I did, I asked for 3 things, hoping to get 2. What I really wanted was a writer. But anyway, they threatened to sue. They canceled the show. They put other people, they assigned them to other shows that day.
And you know who came on that show? Who acted in that show, I should say? Tom Selleck. And he played a Private Eyes right before Magnum P.I. He played a younger Private Eye. I think his name was Chance now.
And I went to work the next day, and I was working in Beverly Hills, and I was only about 3 blocks from my doctor's, and the knee was so bad I was hobbling. And I went over and he said, Jim, I told you, you got to go get off it, get ice on it, and it's going to take 2 or 3 days. Okay. So I called him, told him that's when they sued and let everybody go and assigned them to different series. And I said, this is stupid. So I went ahead and I finished that episode and just ruined my knee, just absolutely ruined it. And because I didn't want everybody to get fired, I didn't want the series to go down the tubes. I mean, they were literally trying to destroy it. And their zeal not to give me a writer. And anyway, that's basically what happened years later. The day I told them I couldn't come to work, they started suing. And they said, when? I said, I don't know. The doctors tell me I can come back. And they look at me, and I said, but it's going to be a month or 2. And so they canceled the series, let everybody go, sued me, whatever. Of course, I countersued. And that was the end of Rock.
Wow. It was Lance White was the character that Tom Selleck played on the Rockford Files. Now, I just have one more clip of the great James Garner, and this is with one of my favorite interviewers, Tom Schneider, from 1998, taking a call from a viewer.
With James Garner, here's Jim on the toll-free in Ambler, Pennsylvania. Hi, Jim, and welcome to CBS Late Night. Hello.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks, and I hope you are. What's on your mind, Jim?
Well, I know that Mr. Garner early on in his career was in a movie with Marlon Brando, Sayonara, and I find Brando so interesting, although perhaps he approaches his craft differently from the way you do. Did he ever talk about the way he approached it? Because I never hear him in interviews discuss his craft. And secondly, what did you like or not like about working with him?
Well, I loved working with Marlon. And we don't attack it that differently. Marlon, I remember one thing he told me. He said, I always find the cliche in a scene because there always is one, and then I try to get as far away from it as I can. And I've always tried to do that, not do the obvious. But Marlon was wonderful to me. I was a new actor, and I was scared to death. And the first scene I did with him was in the back of a taxi cab in Japan, and my hands were sweating. And he said, what's the matter? I said, I'm nervous. He said, what are you nervous about? I said, well, it's the first good movie I've ever been in. He said, well, don't worry about it. He said, you got any problems? Just ask me. He said, we work them out. And we did. We rewrote a lot of the scenes in it that we were in together. And I just love Marlon. He's a good man.
Jim, I'm glad you called. Great question. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Sure.
Okay, bye-bye. When you were a kid and you came to Hollywood, you were a carpet layer for a while.
Well, when I first came here, I came here in the Merchant Marine.
Oh, you did?
And I was going to ship out, and then I saw these gorgeous girls going to Hollywood High School. I said, no, I don't think so. I think I'll go back to high school. And Pancho Gonzalez's wife was one of them, Barbara Billings. Well, all right, we won't get into that. Okay. But I had a lot of different jobs. I worked at the London shop. I worked in service stations. I worked in grocery stores. I worked everywhere. But my father was a carpet layer, and I worked with him. So.
And when did you get your first read? When did somebody call you and say they want you to read for a part?
Well, it wasn't that. Exactly. There was a guy that I'd met when I was working at a Shell service station named Paul Gregory, and he was a soda jerk in the Gotham drugstore. And I used to eat my lunch there, and he said, you ought to be an actor. And I said, I don't want any part of that. So every time I saw him, you got to be an actor, you got to be an actor. And he became a producer in about 5-6 years. And so you want this long story?
Oh, sure, go ahead. I got plenty of time.
I didn't like laying carpets too well. I got bad knees. And so I went downtown. Shell was advertising to go to Arabia to work in the oil fields, and I'd worked in the oil fields in Texas. And they wanted geologists instead of roughnecks, so they didn't need me. And I was coming back, I was going up La Cienega Boulevard, and a woman pulled out of a parking space in front of a building. It said Paul Gregory and Associates. And that's the guy that used to...
Oh, sure, the guy that said you should be an actor.
Right. And I pulled in the parking spot. And I went in to see him, and I became an actor. And he got me a reading over at Columbia to see if I could act. And the guy, Schneider, over there, after I did the scene, I did it with Rosemary Bode, you know, Rosemary, Bob Stack's wife.
Mm-hmm, sure.
And he said, I don't know what you've been doing, young man, but you better go back to it. You'll never be an actor. And
that's what he said to you, huh?
That's what he said to me. And I got my digs in later.
I'm sure
about
you
three
did,
and a half.
Garner.
3.5 years later, I'm sitting in my business manager's office. It was an income tax party there, and he's sitting there on the couch with me, telling me how wonderful I am.
Who,
and
Benno?
I had this star. Benno Schneider was telling me how I had this wonderful thing and this star quality, blah 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 blah.
And were you on Maverick at this time?
No, not quite.
Okay.
Yeah, I just started Maverick. That's right. I just started Maverick, and I let him get up to about here. And then I said, you know, that's strange coming from a man who told me I'd never be an actor. And he said, I never said that. I said, oh, yes,
Yes,
you
you did.
That's not something you're going to forget.
When did you decide that you were not going to take any crap from anybody ever?
Oh, I was about 2.
I mean,
I'm afraid I've been an independent soul for a long time.
I mean, you even during the run of Maverick, I think people might recall reading about this, you took on Jack Warner.
Yeah. Well,
You told him you're going to sue him.
I did sue him. And I won it.
Well, I know you did, but the scenario, as I recall, was he said, I'm going to lay you off because the writers are on strike. And you said, you can't do that. I got a 52-week contract, and I'm going to sue you. And
Yeah.
he said, if you do,
Well,
you'll
he didn't say it, but everybody around him said it. Yeah, and you know, his son-in-law said it. You can't do that. We wrote these contracts. We know what to do. And I said, yeah. Well, you just broke one of yours, and I sued them and won. Got out of the contract.
But weren't you told if you sue Warner, you'll never work in this town again?
Oh yeah, Abe Lastfogel, who was big. You remember Abe
Legendary,
Lastfogel, agent. They just said, Jim, you can't win. He said, you're going to ruin your reputation. You'll never work. I said, yeah, I'll win and I'll work. And I had figured at the time there were enough independent producers at that time. There weren't before. They had only come in, the independent producers, they only come in just a few years before. I said, they'll hire me. And when I won the lawsuit, I got back to my agent's office after I got out of court. There was a script there waiting for me.
Aha. We are with James Garner, who's currently appearing in Twilight. It's in theaters now. The toll-free is up and running, and we'll continue right after these messages.
Watch the color teenies as they flash through the air, he would say.
With James Garner now appearing in Twilight, here is John in Milwaukee. Hello.
One more call.
Tom, greetings from the Dairy State.
Greetings from my hometown, John. How's everything in Milwaukee tonight?
Oh, it's going great. It's
terrific,
going great.
terrific.
It's brewing.
It's Hey, John, how does the town feel about the Brewers now being in the National League instead of the American League?
It's all right. It's all right. For all the years, we always grew up with the Brewers in the American League.
Right.
But it's all right. It's all right.
So what's your question tonight, John, or comment?
Okay, yes, Mr. Garner, I've been a fan I really enjoy your work. It's a thrill speaking to you. I would like to hear your remembrances of working with Steve McQueen in a movie called The Great Escape.
Great picture.
Wonderful picture and a great experience. Steve was a wild man. I think everybody pretty well knows that. And but I had fun with Steve. We worked hard and we played hard, and of course we had cars and
well, as a matter of
toys
fact,
and
didn't he have a gull-wing Mercedes that he drove at excessive rates of speed?
Yes, he did.
Yes.
He was, as a matter of fact, he'd drive that gull-wing Mercedes and he lived outside the town, and he'd take these country roads and he'd run 100 miles an hour on them. And one day he came around the corner, there's 2 farmers, one going one way, going to the other, stopped to talk. And he ended up out in the trees. He had to pay for the gull-wing Mercedes and the trees, had to replace them. They were very bad on that. You you knock down a tree, you're going to put 2 up. And then they started putting up roadblocks for him.
Who would put up the roadblocks?
The police.
The police do.
Yeah.
Keep him
and
away.
And finally took his life, wouldn't let him drive and everything.
What is the wildest thing you've done in your life that wasn't on the screen? The most outrageous, wildest thing that you've ever done?
Gosh.
Good question.
With a car or a plane or a boat or a woman?
Boy, that's never with a woman. Gosh, I don't know. Off the top of my head, I'm
sure you did.
I might have done some funny things, but I can't think of any.
Okay. He said with a smile on his face. Yeah.
I really can't.
Okay.
I don't know.
That's fair. John, I'm glad you called. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot, Tom.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
John, and be
Thank
well
you.
in Milwaukee. Okay.
Okay, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You have done stage work. I read that today that you took out a play with Henry Fonda. You did the Caine Mutiny Court Martial.
That was the first thing I ever did in this business, was the Caine Mutiny Court Martial with Henry Fonda, Lloyd Nolan, and John Hodiak.
Lloyd Nolan. There's a name.
Oh, what a wonderful man. I really had a great experience breaking into this business. Paul Gregory produced that play, and he's the guy that got me in the business.
That's right. Paul went on
And
La
he
Cienega
gave me the
Boulevard.
job.
Paul
Right.
Gregory, where
He
Benno
gave-
Schneider was there and said you were wonderful.
Right. And he put me in the play as in a non-speaking role, and then I understudied John Hodiak. And my first job was to cue Lloyd Nolan to learn the part. And if you know the part of Queeg, and it's a huge part.
This is with the steel balls, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so I went over to his place every day, and we worked for a couple of hours on the script.
When
I
you
would
say
cue
cue him,
well, I'd have the script,
And
and,
you-
I'd
you-
give him the line,
Right.
and then he would give me the
Gotcha.
answer. And so when we got to the first day of read-through with all the cast around the table and the director and everything, and here's a little bit of information nobody knows who the director was at that time, Dick Powell.
Richard Powell, the thin man.
Yep. No,
Yeah,
no.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't he the
Dick
thin man?
Powell. No, you're thinking of William Powell.
You're right.
But Dick Powell, who was an actor and producer and a director, but he had never directed a play. Anyway, we're sitting around this table, and Lloyd Nolan never opened the script. Everybody else is reading, and Henry Fonda's sitting there looking at him like, how did he do that? So he asked him after the read-through, he said, how did you do that? He told him he had hired me to cue him. So I cued Henry to learn his part, which is a huge part. And then I understudied John Hodiak, and I became very friendly with all three of them, and I became kind of their bodyguard and traveling companion, because we traveled 77 cities before we ever went to New York. And it was a great introduction to the business to meet these three stars. They were varied. They were different kind of people, each one of them. But
They don't make him like James Garner anymore. What a great voice, too. Just awesome talent. Next, I have a list of 10. This is number 2 of people I want to honor in the entertainment and pop culture world who had birthdays recently, both living and dead personalities. But this guy's very much alive. Actor and singer John Schneider turned 62 recently. He was born on Friday, April 8th, 1960, in Mount Kisco, New York. But he grew up, or part of his youth, in the Atlanta, Georgia area. He went to Sandy Springs High School. I'm in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Mount Vernon. He was near Mount Vernon Highway. Anyway, he was born, though, in New York State. And John Schneider is the youngest of 3 boys in his family. And did you know that he fibbed about his age when he was a minor? He was under the age of 18 when he auditioned for the part that he eventually won, that he's best known for. And that would be the part of Bo Duke in the CBS television action comedy series, The Dukes of Hazzard. From 2001 to 2006, John Schneider portrayed Jonathan Kent, or Pa Kent, in the comic books, in the Smallville TV series, which was like the origin of Clark Kent. That's the town that Clark Kent was raised in, who became Superman. And he was on that show in 103 episodes. Now, more recently, John Schneider starred in the Tyler Perry-produced nighttime soap opera drama titled The Haves and the Have-Nots. and he played Jim Cryer from 2013 to 2021, which aired on the OWN cable network. And John Schneider has released 9 studio albums and the greatest hits collection, as well as 18 single records. And I played, he did a great song for one of the Dukes of Hazzard television reunion movies, and I played it at the very top of this nostalgic Podblast. I do want to play a brief interview with John Schneider. He's a bit unapologetic about his days on the Dukes of Hazzard, and I'd like to play that for you now. Here's John Schneider.
Have new fans discovered Dukes of Hazzard since becoming available online? Are more people watching?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad you had a little fella like 2 days ago brought these by the studio. He did these drawings. He's like 4 years old, and he thinks the Dukes of Hazzard is the greatest thing since Mom and Dad.
Wow.
And you know, we started on the air 42 years ago. So to still be getting new fans after all this time, especially when the show was kind of sequestered away for a while, it's been terrific. I'm proud of the show. I'm proud of the unifying element that Dukes of Hazzard had. Entire families would watch, from 6-year-olds to 90-year-olds would watch every Friday night.
You know, on a little touchier note, there was talk about removing the show from streaming services because of that Confederate flag on the car.
Right.
And I know it's a little touchy. What do you say to that?
Well, they've done it a couple of times, and it winds up coming back. The notion, I'm unapologetic about the show in every regard, because if we had intended, I think intent is important. I don't think I have the right to tell someone what a symbol means to them. I can tell them what a symbol means to me. And to me, the flag on our car, when I was a kid, Leonard Skinner had it. Charlie Daniels had it. Keith Richards had it in front of the Alamo. What that meant to a 8-year-old, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 15-year-old John Schneider, that meant that we are collectively we are rebelling against an oppressive society that pollutes the well where we drink. That's what it's always meant to me. All of a sudden, you know, I do think that we need to cancel culture, personally. That's my opinion. Is they've come after they went after Dukes. They've done it for decades, actually. They've also gone after the Muppets. They've gone after Dr. Seuss now. My goodness. They're going after everything that doesn't agree with their current thinking. I don't know about you, but my thinking has changed a little bit throughout the years.
But John,
I
think
reserve
when we
the
know
right
better,
to have my opinion changed. I'm sorry, Jackie.
I
Yes?
think when we know better, we do better, because that is one person's opinion. But we can certainly say, I came from the South, deep South, Mississippi, and that's not what that meant to us. There was a whole different meaning. And so I think now that we know better, we should do better.
But does the Dukes of Hazzard mean that? See, that's the, you know,
Well, we're talking about the flag, not the Dukes of Hazzard.
No, I know, but people have thrown the Dukes of Hazzard because of the flag on the car. They've said that the show was a racist show. So it was what my grandmother would have said, that it's kind of like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. We didn't mean, what does it say in the song? Just two good old boys never meaning no harm. So there was no harm intended ever. So for me to be apologetic about it would be me apologizing. And I'm from New York. You're from Mississippi. I'm a recovering Yankee. So it would be my saying that I think that the Dukes of Hazzard, Bo, Luke, Daisy, Uncle Jesse, meant evil by putting that flag on the car, when in fact, if we had intended evil by putting that flag on the car, Uncle Jesse would have made us scrape it off with a fingernail file. So,
it's those subtle messages, though. I mean, granted, I watched the Dukes of Hazzard. I lived for it. But now that I know more about it and I understand what it may have meant to most of us, I think it's a subtle message that, we could do without.
Well, I think you both have very strong points. I mean, John, your intent clearly was not to offend anybody, and Dr. Jackie, to your point that historically there are some offensive connotations with that. So we're not going to settle it here, but John, you keep up the good work. It really was a pleasure having you on the show today. A lot of insight to a lot of interesting things. Be sure to check out John's new movie, Switched, available online.
All right. And I just want to play another brief clip of John Schneider talking about his days on Smallville, which was a origin to Superman show.
Obviously, a lot of us grew up on Dukes of Hazzard, but in Will and I's generation as well, flash forward 20 years later, we're teenagers, and
I know where you're going.
Out comes something that really, if you look at modern cinema, what's happening right now, I feel like with superhero movies and all that, kicked off a lot of this and was really before its time. And that's obviously Smallville, which was a huge part of us growing up. But when you really look at it, I've just started showing some clips and things to my son, and he's like, oh, it's clicking even with him.
It was an era when there weren't a ton of superhero
the first Spider-Man hadn't worked yet.
Right, exactly.
Right, it was the same year, I think.
Yeah,
yes, exactly.
So do you see now as you go do appearances and conventions, obviously Dukes of
Actually, Smallville started in 2001, and the first Spider-Man movie was 2002. It was in production in 2001, but so Smallville was before Spider-Man by Sony. With Tobey Maguire.
If you go to your website, it's the bread and butter. People are talking about doing these weekends, but you have to have now so many people coming up who are our age, in our mid-30s and younger, who are fans from
a lot
Smallville.
A lot of military. A lot of military. Apparently, Smallville was one of those box sets that wound up
that makes sense.
in Baghdad.
Oh, wow.
So I have a lot of military coming up with tears in their eyes because of the character, the father figure that Jonathan Kent played. And that means so much to me to have a man or woman in uniform come over, and I can tell because they're like, you were my dad.
Your dad on TV, yeah.
And what a wonderful honor it is to have people respond that way to a character. I mean, I played a character on a television show, but I hugged my son. I kissed my son. I was.
He's a great character.
I wanted to make sure that my son knew that he was supported, that he was loved, and that he could do anything that he put his mind to. And in Smallville, because my actual son has Asperger's, so it's hard to raise. It's hard to raise any children, but it's very hard to raise special needs children, and you deal with life differently when you have a special needs child in the house. So if Chasen is listening, I want him to know, and he knows this, that the reason why Jonathan Kent raised Clark the way he did was because of Chasen.
That's amazing. And that darn Luther family had to come and just
we thought a
us.
lot. we debated about what would happen if Lionel had found Clark and Jonathan had gotten custody of Lex.
That would have been.
Would Lex have been a good person? So is it the whole nature versus nurture?
Call
bit?
the cast. We'll call Michael Rosenbaum. Get him in here. We'll do a
You're gonna
one-on-one.
We'll just start it.
He's just funny. Yeah, reboot. Reboot.
When it comes though to that, and
Lex
that is,
Kent.
But you're right that it connected on a level, and I think that happens with a lot of characters. But you see it happen. Well, you're trying to take it from me. You don't want me to take that. That's yours over there. You see that with these characters. I mean, one of our members of our crew, we were talking about Smallville earlier because we were teenagers when it first came out, and he said one of the first times that he cried watching TV was Jonathan Kent passing away.
Oh, wow.
And you go, that's a powerful thing, and like you said, such a revolutionary moment for TV. And they're still essentially building off of that universe, and it's just incredible.
I think it was it validated to the machines in Hollywood that superheroes were a viable commodity, not just in comic books, because they tried a bunch of times, and what they had missed, and what Miles Millar and Al Gough got so well, was the humanity of the superhero, and making it not only fun and exciting and fantastic, but somehow, like Dukes of Hazzard, believable.
Right.
And I think that
relatable. You
relatable.
Care,
and I remember when Clark he accidentally threw the tractor over the barn. I mean, it was like
as you do.
It happens. It happens. Yeah. But how do you make that not silly?
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
No.
And it wasn't silly because I think I looked at him like,
Like it
Like
actually
the
just
theater,
happened.
yeah.
And that's why you can't play football.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the first
Right.
episode. I just watched that with my son. It's all on like Hulu now, by the way, which is just incredible.
So that clip was from Logan Sekulow, Sekulow. John Schneider. Now, moving along on our list of people I want to celebrate that are significant in pop culture history who had birthdays, both living and dead, is number 3, Hugh Hefner, who would have been 96 years old on April 9th. Hugh Hefner was born on Friday, April 9th, 1926, in Chicago, Illinois. As the founder of Playboy magazine, Hugh Hefner changed the way people viewed nudity. Known for his inviolable lifestyle, he resided in luxury, in luxurious mansions along with his Playboy playmates, in the Playboy mansion. Although a well-known philanthropist, Hefner made significant donations to various causes. He also supported freedom of expression and sexual liberation. Hugh Hefner died at the age of 91 on Wednesday, September 27th, 2017. Next on the list is number 4. Michael Learned turned 83 on April 9th. She was born Sunday, April 9th, 1939 in Washington, D.C. Isn't that interesting? You know, a female named Michael. I always thought that was interesting when I saw the credits to the Waltons and her name graced the screen. Michael Learned. But Michael Learned, of course, is best known on the show I just mentioned as Olivia Walton on that long-running series, The Waltons, and she won 3 Emmy Awards for her role. She won another Emmy for playing Nurse Mary Benjamin in the medical drama titled Nurse. Michael Learned has appeared on stage and in movies such as Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. This is a very brief clip I want to play of Michael Learned talking about the atmosphere on the set of The Waltons back in the day. And The Waltons, I believe, it was produced by Lorimore Productions.
Ribald, dirty jokes, cussing. At first they said, you can't swear. I have a filthy mouth. I try not to, but I do. So I've let myself drop a few on this interview because that's who I am. I'm sorry. And actually, I'm trying not to. It's just second nature to me. My mother could say the F word and it sounded like, pass the tea, please. So I grew up with it and it's just part of my vernacular. But the kids, we tried very hard not to swear around the kids. We tried to be good parents to those kids. And of course, the kids were worse than we were. So, and they were just, they were never bored because they were so alive. And Will Gear was never bored because he always was writing poetry or doing
Grandpa.
something.
That's the actor played Grandpa Walton.
And Ellen was painstaking about her
Grandma
work.
Walton, Ellen Corby.
She'd rewrite things and get very fiery about stuff. But we were like a family. We had our spats and things, but it was never unresolved. It was never, nobody ever went around not speaking to anybody. We had a lot of fun. And in retrospect, we had more fun than I realized we were having at the time. But I've seen some of the outtakes, and I think, my God, we had such a great time. And then it was hard on guest stars because they would come in and they wanted to rehearse, of course, and we'd be cracking jokes, and we were so bored, and we knew our characters inside out. So we would try to be good, but we weren't. The only problem was Ralph and Will Gear, who insisted on mooning us any chance they got. That was the only problem.
They were the practical jokers.
I saw more of their rear ends than I ever wanted to see, and they were terrific. I would run screaming into the set.
Wow. And Ralph Waite played her husband on The Waltons. So number 6 on my list of 10 people I want to honor who had recent birthdays, Chuck Connors. He would have been 101 years of age had he lived on April 10th. He was born Sunday, April 10th, 1921, in Brooklyn, New York. He passed away back in 1992, on Tuesday, November 10th, 1992, at the age of 71. Chuck Connors was an American actor, professional baseball and basketball player. Did you know that? And I got this to give credit. I have a birthday website that I use, so I did, and because I write my own stuff, and I was in a hurry to whip this together after I saw Morbius. Contacted Al. I said, let's do a quick review, and anyway, and Shane. I reached out to Shane also. I said, would you like to review Morbius? And anyway, so it's so funny. You can tell the dead giveaway when I'm reading something or anyone's reading something or posting something. You tell it's a cut and paste job when it says they were an American actor. You can tell that the source is like a UK website. Because who speaks that way? Chuck Connors was an American actor. No, you say Chuck Connors was an actor. So take two. Chuck Connors was an actor, professional baseball and basketball player. Chuck Connors is one of 13 athletes to have played in both the National Basketball Association, NBA, and Major League Baseball. As an actor, Chuck Connors contributed to the success of the popular Western television program The Rifleman. He's also known for his charity work, and I remember him in Airplane 2. And Connors helped found the Chuck Connors Charitable Foundation. I remember him from a movie in 1976, recently released in the last couple of years on Blu-ray. It's a cult film, and it's a terrible film in terms of what happens. It's a women's prison flick called Nightmare in Badham County from 1976. And he plays a crooked sheriff, and he's just a despicable character. He does horrible things I won't even say on the Podblast. But Tina Louise is in that, who, of course, was Ginger in Gilligan's Island about 10 years before that movie was shot. But it's an R-rated movie. Watched it at Al's after I got it on Blu-ray. I'd never seen the R-rated cut, and there's fights, girl fighting another girl in the prison, and the clothes fly off, and but it's just got some unbelievable stuff. Robert Reed is in it, who, of course, is best known as the original Mike Brady on the Brady Bunch. And he was in Mannix, and he was a serious actor, by the way. He died in 1992 of AIDS, unfortunately. But he was in this movie as the warden of the lady prison. That's who he played. And God, it's so bad, this movie. And the prisoners are separated by race, too. It's supposed to be in the Deep South, I think in Alabama. And what's happening is Deborah Raffin plays one of the, plays a college student, I think at UCLA, and she's trying to visit her parents on summer break. And she drives through this small town, gets a flat tire, wrong place at the wrong time. And then here comes, enter Chuck Connors as the sheriff, horn dog, son of a bastard dick, excuse my language, sheriff in this movie. But Nightmare in Badham County, golly, I can't even. Odella Reese is in it. It's got a really good cast. I know I'm forgetting someone else in the cast. Ralph Bellamy, he played the judge. And man, and I need to research. I don't think it was based on a true story. God, I hope it wasn't. But like the lady prisoners, like I said, are segregated. There's still segregation in 1976, and the girls are shocked. And anyway, but Chuck Connors was in that. So I do want to play a clip of Chuck Connors talking with Arsenio Hall in 1987 on the Arsenio Hall show. And I don't think this is terribly long. Let me find that for you now. Yes, here it is. I knew I pulled that clip. And then we'll move on to number 7.
In a general store, though.
Well, Bo Jack...
I don't think Bo will have a series anytime soon.
Well, Bo won't have a script. See, I had a script.
Yeah. That's amazing. And the werewolf thing has gone through the roof. The ratings.
I hear the ratings went through the roof. Did anybody see it last week? No, I got to tell you, you just said that. Great. That's my brother. Hello, brother. But at any rate, they are going to play it again tomorrow night on the Fox network because they're looking for a different audience again. Mm-hmm. And then I might add, Saturday night, the second segment comes on. So with you tonight and tomorrow night and Saturday night, I own the Fox network for 3 months.
Yes, so they're showing 2. There's actually 2 things being shown tomorrow night. The rerun and a new one they haven't seen.
The 2-hour movie will show tomorrow night, the one that played last week. And then the second segment will follow on Saturday.
So are people starting to recognize you as the werewolf now instead of Chuck
Connors?
Are
you kidding me? I went into the Yankee Stadium last Saturday, and the show had not been on the air. And there were thousands of people around, and they're screaming about, hey, Lucas, rifleman.
Yeah, right.
Hey, werewolf, for promos.
Right. Well, that's great. Can we see a clip? Not the rifleman clip. Don't show that clip. I want to see the werewolf clip. Show the werewolf clip. You got it? Watch your monitors. Here, TV at home.
Sit down. So, why did you come here, boy?
I told you. I was looking for a job, and I thought...
Why'd you come, boy? You're one of mine, aren't you? Yes. You met one of mine, didn't you? I can tell.
And you know what's happened to me.
You found me, didn't you? You think I didn't sense you long before you sensed me? Do you think your instincts are any match for mine?
My friend is dead, and I killed him.
Did you save your friend from his horrible...
He's wearing a patch.
Tom?
An eye patch.
But not before he brought you into the club, huh?
I don't want to be like this.
Well, then kill yourself. That's the way a werewolf dies. By his own hand, or by a silver bullet, or by another werewolf. Did you come to kill me?
Beautiful. Yeah. Is it a scary show?
It is a scary show, but a lot of folks like these folks that can like that. If you accept the premise of the werewolf, and a lot of people don't, they scoff at it. But if you accept it, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There are college kids who get together, 20 in a room. They get themselves some soda, and they sit, and they sit around and watch scary movies. You know, the werewolf has been around through the history of man.
Right.
Now, I truthfully do not believe in werewolves, but I sure enjoy playing them.
Yeah.
I mean, we know about the werewolf from actually from the Bible.
Right.
I think Jesus is quoted in Matthew 8:5 by saying, "Beware of false prophets, for they will come to you in the clothing of sheep, but inside they are ravening wolves."
I think he meant Casey Kasem, though, in the Bible. It was Casey Kasem he was referring to.
Yeah, it's Casey Kasem.
Tells
right.
you later on in Revelation.
And then through the Middle Ages, there were 30,000 people killed during the Middle Ages who were suspected of being werewolves. Not to say they were, but people feared them. I mean, people believe in the parapsychological, the mysterious.
You scaring me, man. Stop, you scaring me. Because, see, I fainted watching Mary Poppins, so don't get out. I got some pictures I want to show, if you don't mind.
Do it, my boy.
Show these pictures. Now, this is, can I show it over here? Right here? From the rifle, man?
19th century.
Yeah. Yeah, Lucas McCain. Where's Micah?
Oh, forgive me, Micah died.
Really?
Yeah.
Remember Micah? You all remember Micah? He was a great actor.
Micah.
And you're a great actor. I meant to tell you after that clip, you're a wonderful actor. Now, see, this is when you were like the first white man that could jump. Look at this.
Showing him in the basketball uniform.
This is without Air Jordans on. Show that closer. Get closer on that.
Don't lift that leg up any higher, Chuck.
You're right, on.
No! That's live. That's an Air Jordan commercial right there.
Go on, keep doing it. I love it.
The Dodgers.
What do you got? Yeah.
This is amazing. You know, I mean,
Guys,
Simple, huh?
yeah, you.
Bo
you
Jackson.
I wake up at
Deion Sanders, multi-sport. That's pretty cool.
and say, oh, look at that.
Oh, God. Look what I've been reduced to make a living.
Yes, indeed. That's scary.
You know, by the way, I got to tell you something. Knowing I'd be doing this show tonight, I went to a dental hygienist today, a girl named Lois, to clean my teeth, you know, for this. But damn it, she spoiled them, so I brought them with me to show you here. Look. See these?
Putting in wolf teeth.
That's nasty, man.
Well, I'm not that.
You can get nasty, right?
It's got wolf
Get
teeth.
a close-up on those. Get a close-up on those. Look.
Oh, fair enough.
Oh.
You can imagine. I know it's visual, but you can imagine if you're listening at fistfulofradio.com or Apple or SoundCloud.
Instead of me, you see those teeth tomorrow night. Don't miss it. We'll be right back with the Parkland brothers.
What a great personality. Now, next on the list, I'll just say a line from a movie. You'll know exactly who this is. Here's the line. I see dead people. Remember that little boy? He was at the time, anyway. That's Haley Joel Osment. He was born on Sunday, April 10th, 1988 in Los Angeles, California. And he looks different today. He doesn't look bad. He just looks like an entirely different person. But Haley Joel Osment is a popular actor and voice actor who can also play guitar and piano. He's an avid golfer as well, and he represented the American team under team leader Mark O'Mara in the 2005 All-Star Cup. He's one of those popular child actors who went on to have a successful career as an actor after growing up. Number 8 on the list, Omar Sharif. Happy heavenly birthday to Omar Sharif. And he was born on Sunday, April 10th, 1932, in Alexandria, Egypt. He passed away on Friday, July 10th, 2015, at the age of 83. And he was an Egyptian actor who shot to fame with the iconic film Lawrence of Arabia, which won him 2 Golden Globes and an Academy Award nomination. Omar Sharif is also remembered for his role in Dr. Zhivago. Oh, God, I blew it. Is also remembered for his role in Dr. Zhivago. Golly, why can't I talk tonight? Oh, I'm gonna have to delete this thing. Well, I can't because I had Shane and Al on. Omar Sharif, take 3. Omar Sharif is also remembered for his role in Dr. Zhivago. He was one of the world's top 50 contract bridge players and spoke 6 languages. Happy heavenly birthday to Omar Sharif. Number 9 on my list of 10, Harry Morgan. What an awesome voice he had. And of course, he was an actor known for many projects who was born on Saturday, April 10th, 1915 in Detroit, Michigan. He died at the age of 96 on Wednesday, December 7th, 2011, a day that will live on in infamy, Pearl Harbor Day. Harry Morgan was an American actor. See, I got this from a European website. Harry Morgan was an American actor who appeared in over 100 films in a career that spanned 6 decades. Apart from contributing to the success of several films, Harry Morgan also appeared in many TV series. For his performance in the series MASH, Harry Morgan received an Emmy. In 2006, he was made an inductee of the Hall of Great Western Performers. And, of course, he was in Dragnet 1967. Who could forget Dragnet? I do want to play a very brief clip of Harry Morgan discussing the tone on the set of MASH, the television show. And here it is. This is from Emmy TV Legends Foundation interviews in the Archive of American Television. Harry Morgan. You'll recognize the voice. If you don't know who I'm talking about, you will. Because MASH is running reruns for decades, for so long.
I think that was an integral part of why the show was such a success. Everybody really was fond of everybody else, and I think that was communicated. And it was so effortless to do all this stuff, you know. It didn't require any tough thinking to do this stuff. It was like falling off a log. Especially, I don't even remember at the beginning that it was difficult. It fell into line almost immediately. Of course, they had done it for 3 years before I came on. Just my nature, I guess. I like to kid around. But I'm not alone in that. You know, Jamie is a great farceur, and Alan is funny, and Mike is funny, and Loretta likes her humor, and Larry. No, we just did a lot of joking around. No, it was really wonderful to work on that show. It was such a happy experience. There were a lot of practical jokes. You know, we had a lot of messes where we were eating food, which wasn't very good. A lot of horseplay around that, especially with Jamie and Gary. Jamie was very funny. Yeah, we would horse around, and sometimes it was good, you know, and they'd keep it in. Oh yeah, it was very freewheeling, as I said. Yeah, because we had a lot of mess tent scenes where, you know, we were all seated at a rectangular table, and I think the camera was back here and covered the whole thing. There weren't any close-ups or whatnot. So there was a lot of horseplay, a lot of well, whatever you want to do with your food. There was a lot of childishness on that show, along with the whatever mature qualities we possessed. Well, it was really a terrific, fun show to do.
I think that was right before he passed. That interview was conducted. What a great actor. All right, next up, my final person I want to talk about who had a birthday on April 10th, Max von Sydow. Ming the Merciless in the Flash Gordon movie from 1980, among other things. Oh my gosh, he was in Victory. Oh man, so many movies. The Exorcist, and I'm going to play a brief clip of the great Max von Sydow talking about filming The Exorcist. And before I do that, though, I want to mention that Max von Sydow was born on Wednesday, April 10th, 1929, in Lund, Sweden. He passed away on Sunday, March 8th, 2020. In an illustrious career spanning 7 decades, Max contributed immensely to American and European cinema, theater, and television. He appeared in 11 of Ingmar Bergman's films, including The Seventh Seal, which houses the iconic scene where Max's character challenges the personification of death to a game of chess. And I remember him from Strange Brew, a movie based on the SCTV characters Bob and Doug McKenzie. Let me play this brief interview with Max von Sydow talking about that iconic role in The Exorcist. This isn't too long, this clip.
It was my first confrontation with playing a Catholic priest, which was new to me, and very interesting though. And also, I was supposed to be so much older than myself. I had to wear so much makeup that when I thought I made a facial reaction, it didn't show. I had to fight so many technical, special effect, superficial things. The entire set during the Exorcism was refrigerated, which meant that when all the lights were set and the stage was warm because of that, we had to spend a lot of time waiting for the stage to cool down. And that was done with huge electrical fans which made a lot of noise, and consequently they couldn't be going while we were filming. So after a couple of takes, we had to stop, and the whole thing had to be cooled down again. So it went on and on forever. And sometimes we couldn't shoot but say 1 setup a day. And then when the devil really got going, he cracked roofs or ceilings and walls and things, which had to be, then we had to adjust to the dear devil and his workings, which was kind of complicated. But also, the ritual of the exorcism is like a long, long poem, in a way. And performing or acting a long poem is difficult, particularly with all this going on.
What a great talent. So that concludes my list of birthdays up through April 10th. Now, I do have someone else I want to celebrate. Let me just cue this up before I get started. A lot of these things that I talk about on the Podblast are on the Nostalgic Podblast Facebook group, or in the Nostalgic Podblast Facebook group, if you want to see what we're talking about. Now, I just want to mention this has nothing to do with a birthday, and thankfully, this man did not pass away because he's still with us, thank goodness, at 90 years of age, and that's actor Dabney Coleman. Whether playing a comedic role or a serious one, Dabney Coleman always delivered a great performance. I loved him, of course, as Mr. Hart, the a-hole boss in the classic movie 9 to 5, which became, did you know it was a TV show with Sally Struthers playing Dolly Parton's role? And it actually lasted more than a couple years, the television show. I didn't watch it, but anyway. But Dabney Coleman once hosted Saturday Night Live on Halloween night in 1987 with musical guests The Cars. I might as well mention that Dabney was born on Sunday, January 3rd, 1932 in Austin, Texas. And man, I loved him. He really got a jump start to his career, you know, relatively late in life with 9 to 5. And there was a movie that no one really liked, but I love it. Modern Problems, a Chevy Chase movie where he gets powers because of a nuclear shower. And Dabney Coleman plays this complete butthole. He's like Mark Winslow's his character name, and he's kind of like a Dr. Phil type. And I have nothing against Dr. Phil. I'm not saying Dr. Phil, the real guy, is an a-hole. But he's like that. He's like an author and motivational speaker, and he thinks he's right about everything, and he's not. And he just had a really funny character in that movie. I've got a film print of it on 16mm film. But anyway, some of the other movies that Dabney Coleman acted in, Tootsie. Did you remember he was in that? The Dustin Hoffman movie Tootsie, where he pretty much Dustin Hoffman wore a dress. He was in War Games, Dabney Coleman, Cloak and Dagger, The Beverly Hillbillies from 1993, and many, many more films. On television, back in the 60s, Dabney Coleman acted in The Fugitive, The Invaders. He was in 2 great episodes of The Invaders, titled The Innocent, where he played a military man who had shot an alien and saw him burn up. So he believed architect David Vincent, that there were aliens invading the Earth. And then he returned in season 2 of The Invaders in an entirely different role. The Saucer, in which David Vincent's character had located and captured a saucer, a disabled saucer in the desert. And this guy, anyway, Dabney Coleman played sort of an ally to David Vincent. And then more recently, Dabney Coleman acted in Boardwalk Empire. And then before that, he starred in the comedy Buffalo Bill. But in 1987, he hosted Saturday Night Live, and I'll play a little bit of that monologue in a second. But that same year, 1987, he won an Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Performance in a Miniseries or Movie for his role in Sworn to Silence. In 1988, Dabney won a Best Actor Golden Globe Award in a TV series, musical or comedy, for The Slap Maxwell Story. But now I want to play a little bit of the monologue. And if you're watching on YouTube, I think I'll have to edit this out. This is property of NBC, WNBC, or just NBC. And they're really strict on YouTube about the use of their clips, but I think it'll be okay here if you're watching live or listening on fistfulofradio.com or wherever you listen to your fine programs. So here, I'm going to just kill that music because I think that'd be a red flag for the bots. I'm playing Dodge Bot right now. So if you're watching this and the sound goes out or it jumps, that's why. Anyway, I just want to play a little bit of Dabney Coleman's only hosting of Saturday Night Live. And the reason I thought of him, by the way, I want to mention the reason I thought of him, I'm watching Columbo. I mentioned in the last Podblast Columbo reruns, and he was in a great, I think it was 1991 Columbo TV movie, Death of a Rock Star. And he played an a-hole famous attorney who kills his mistress. And his performance was awesome in that, like it is in everything else. Anyway, so I just started thinking about Dabney Coleman. You don't hear much. I mean, he's 90. I guess he's probably retired from acting like Gene Hackman is. But I think he's really underrated and really great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is only 3 minutes
thank
long.
you very much. And good night.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but seriously, it's really an honor to be here tonight. Scary as hell, but hey, it's Halloween. I mean, let's be realistic. This is a biggie here, and when they ask you to host the Saturday Night Live show, that means you're doing pretty well. And you know, right now things are going great for me. Of course, it only took about a half a century, but that's okay. In a way, I'm actually kind of glad I had to wait for success until early middle age. It's probably better that I had to wait half my life to make it. Now, my kids, you know, may have had a little bit different life, maybe gone to better schools, you know, things like that, but hell, they're grown up now. They didn't know the difference. Still don't. And the money, see, now, that's all mine, see? That's my money now. I get to spend that money. What are you, communists out here? Now, I like that. I really like that. That makes me happy. But look, we have a great show, and we're going to get right into it, okay? We have Elvira.
Elvira?
And we have the Cars, who were... Not too shabby a little group there. In fact, I have them on my telephone answering machine in the background there. Who's going to take you home? Well, that's neither here nor there. Listen, thank you very much, and we'll be right back.
There you go. Dabney Coleman. Wasn't Laugh Out Loud funny, and I knew it wouldn't be, but I just wanted to play that. I thought it was interesting what he had to say. Dabney Coleman. See, they put that music in there to flag people like me from using that clip. Anyway, but thank you to NBC for letting me use that clip unofficially there. All right, so, oh yes, now it's time for remembrance of this gentleman. Has nothing to do with a birthday or anything like that. This guy, this music should tip you off. Gonna talk about Richard Dawson, and then we'll sign off for this edition of The Nostalgic Podblast with your host, Chance Bartels, moi. But I have to use the little boys' room. RC Cola's running through me, so I'm going to play some of the theme to Classic Family Feud. Then we'll wrap it up. All right. Pucker up. Original Family Feud host, British-born Richard Dawson, took a page from Match Game host Gene Rayburn, since Dawson would kiss as many females as he possibly could who appeared on his show, Family Feud. Reason I say that, if you watch any Match Game reruns on Buzzer or the Game Show Network, Gene Rayburn would pull out some Banaka whenever a new celebrity panelist would appear. That's right. So everybody says, you're a schmuck, Chance. And he would pull out Banaka, freshen his breath, and then give her a big kiss. And Dawson obviously wanted to do that on his own. And Mark Goodson in 1975 developed Family Feud and offered it to Dawson. Jack Nars, though, was the actual host of the pilot to Family Feud. And I've looked for video of that. I've not found it on YouTube or anywhere else. I'm sure a tape exists, but I've not seen it. But anyway, Mark Goodson let Richard Dawson try out as host of Family Feud, and the rest is history. The first episode aired in July 1976. And from 1976 to 1985, equal opportunity kissing bandit Dawson, they called him kissing bandit, would lay his lips on ladies of all ages, races, creeds, and ages as a way of wishing them good luck, so he claimed. When Richard Dawson, who also had acted on Hogan's Heroes and Laugh-In in a regular capacity, and he guest starred in a really great Dick Van Dyke Show episode, when he returned to host Family Feud in 1994, he explained in his first show monologue that he was married now to a former contestant, mind you, named Gretchen Johnson, and that he promised his wife there would be no more kissing of the contestants. And he also quit smoking. He was a chain smoker, and back in I think 90 or 91, he very late in life had a little daughter. And when that happened, his daughter made him promise to quit smoking, so he quit smoking. And he gained weight, and he was sensitive to that and made jokes about his weight gain in the 1994-1995 version of Family Feud in an hour-long format at that point. But before then, hang on a second. Before then, before the 90s revival, when it first started, really around 1977 was the height of the ratings success. It was tremendously successful in the Nielsen ratings. So they did these primetime celebrity specials in which stars of hit television shows would play against each other for charity on ABC TV. And you had some big stars at the time. I was surprised they did it, but it was for charity. I guess that was the reason. But John Ritter and the height of Three's Company was on it, Lonnie Anderson in 78, 79. Larry Hagman, right before the Who Shot JR, shot him to superstardom. The Eight Is Enough cast, the Jeffersons, Dukes of Hazzard cast, Heather Locklear, Heather Thomas from Fall Guy, and many other stars in their prime of their television careers played the game in the name of charity. Now, in 2006, Fremantle Media, who owns the rights to the Goodson-Todman Game Show Library, released a collection of these classic Celebrity Family Feud specials in a DVD set, which I'm putting on camera now. If you're watching on one of the video platforms like YouTube or the Nostalgic Podblast Facebook group, you can see the box. And I posted it, too. If you don't have time to go back and look at an old show or look at video, I did do a post. It's probably buried by now, but it got a pretty good response. A post about Richard Dawson. So that DVD set, it's pretty interesting. If you're a TV junkie, that is, you would appreciate it. Seeing all these stars in their heyday. And they even had one with the Lost in Space cast from 1983 where you finally saw the actor that was inside the robot. Bobby May. He played in the place of Jonathan Harris. And Guy Williams was on representing the Lost in Space family, and they played Batman, the cast of Batman. The surviving members, including Adam West, Burt Ward, the skipper, Alan Hale Jr., Jim Backus and his lovely wife, Natalie Schaefer, the Thurston Howell III and Lovey. That was a lot of fun to watch. Anyway, all that stuff's on DVD, thankfully, preserved for all time. But one of my favorite things related to Family Feud that was scripted was there was a Mama's Family episode from way back in season 1 of Mama's Family titled Family Feud. And that aired back on NBC on Saturday, February 19th, 1983. And Dawson, of course, played himself as the Harper family, including guest Betty White, were contestants on Family Feud. It was really funny stuff. Going to play a final clip. And this is Richard Dawson in 1994 talking about his return to Family Feud. And before I roll that, a little bit of tragedy here. Ray Combs, a lot of people, I'm talking into the mic. I'm sorry about the distortion. I can hear it. A lot of people prefer Ray Combs, who took over hosting Family Feud from Dawson in 1988. Dawson wrapped in 85 originally, and then it had a hiatus for a couple years, and then they brought it back in 1988 for syndication. Same announcer, but you had Ray Combs as the host. Now, Combs was replaced when Dawson decided to come out of retirement, and this is really, really sad. He had some serious financial problems. Ray Combs did, and he put all of his money reportedly into comedy clubs in the Cincinnati, Ohio area that went belly up when the recession hit in 1991, 92. And he never recovered. And he had a lot of kids. I believe he was Catholic, and he had, I think, like 7 or 8 kids, and he would have them on the old Family Feud many times, and they're little kids. And I thought it was so sad. He reportedly hung himself. God, this is morbid. I shouldn't even mention this on my happy show, family show. But he hung himself. He was like institutionalized, and he hung himself with bed sheets or something. Terrible. Don't try, like the Queen song, Don't Try Suicide. You ever heard that song? Probably not. It's a B-side song. It's on the album The Game by Queen. But it's like, I don't know if it's a joke song. I'm all over the place, folks. Forgive me as I wrap up this edition of the Nostalgic Podblast. And I'm not making light of suicide. I'm not. So no need to send any hate my way. We're full here. But Don't Try Suicide. I'll see if I can play that song. A live version of it, because it definitely will get flagged. Queen songs are like heavily copyrighted and protected. But Ray Combs, he took his own life. That was the sad part about Dawson coming back. And then to make things sadder for Dawson, the OJ trial happened in 1994, and CNN's ratings were through the roof. So no one was watching the daytime Family Feud, which they anticipated would have a huge rating spike for Family Feud, with Dawson returning as host. And it did well originally. Then the OJ trial hit, and everybody's eyeballs were watching that television trial since there were cameras in the courtroom. But that's the truth. Now, let me see if I can find, really quickly, Don't Try Suicide. I want you to hear this song. It's not a comedic song. It's just a good song. Let's see if I can find a live version of that. I doubt I can. Let me just find this on the fly. Don't Try Suicide, Queen. I'm literally just looking it up, my little clip machine, and see if I can play this for you. I just want you to get a sense of this song. Here we go. I'm not going to try to sing it because, okay, I think I found it. Let me see. Oh no, that's the official. I can't play that. I can't play that. I'll get shut down so fast my head will swim. Oh, these are kids doing it. I mean, the song. These are kids performing Don't Try Suicide. I think I can get away with this, but it won't sound as good as Freddie Mercury singing. But that's the same beat. That's the same bass line. Give you a sense of how the song goes. This is weird. I've never seen this or heard this. Got a good thing going now. Don't! Just gonna hate it. Nobody gives a damn. Ooh, they said damn. Think you're gonna slash your wrists this time?
Try, baby. Don't do that. You got a good thing going now. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Don't!
Don't try suicide. Nobody's worthy. Don't try suicide. Nobody cares. Don't try suicide. Just gonna hate it. Don't try suicide. Nobody gives a damn. You need help. Look at yourself. You need help. You need life. So don't take yourself. It's okay, 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 okay.
Oh, they don't say. Jesus, they said it. That's not cool.
Need some affection. Suicide, suicide, suicide bed. Suicide, suicide, suicide bed. Suicide. Don't you bed. Don't you, don't.
Do it! One of the weirdest songs Queen ever sang, performed, wrote, whatever.
Don't put your neck on the line.
Don't put your neck on the line.
Jog on me, babe. Blow your brain out. Don't do that.
I've never heard these kids saying those terrible lyrics.
Got a good thing going now. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't try suicide. Nobody's worthy. Don't try suicide. Nobody cares. Don't try suicide. Just gonna hate it. Don't try suicide. Nobody gives. Nobody gives. Nobody gives a damn. Okay.
What the hell? This is like a kid's talent show or something. That is bizarre. Read some of these lyrics. I've really gone off on a tangent tonight, folks. The lyrics to Queen's "Don't Try Suicide." Just a few of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. Anyway, it says, I'm not going to try to sing. I'm not going to embarrass myself that bad. I've done enough of that tonight. Don't do it. Don't try it, baby. Don't do that. Don't. Don't do that. You got a good thing going now. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't try suicide. Just gonna hate it. Don't try suicide. Nobody cares. Don't try suicide. You're just gonna hate it. Nobody gives a damn. And it says, let's see. So you think it's the easy way out? You think you're gonna slash your wrists this time? I thought you were saying Nespa. Anyway, baby, all you do is get on my tits. Don't do that. Try, baby. Don't do that. You got a good thing going now. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't try suicide. Jeez, I'm embarrassing myself, but I don't care. Anyway, so you know that refrain. Nobody gives a damn. You need help. Look at yourself. You need help. You need life. Don't hang yourself. It's okay, okay. You can't be a prick teaser all of the time. A little bit of attention. You got it. Need some affection. You got it. Suicide bid. Suicide bid. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. I think I read all the lyrics. But I can't believe that weird cover. It was the only thing I could find, folks. Sorry about that. Anyway, but Richard Dawson was a great personality, and thankfully he's captured on celluloid, videotape, and film. And one of the movies he did he was most ashamed of was Munster Go Home from 1966. It was released about, I think, 4 weeks after the cancellation of the Munsters television series, which only lasted for 2 seasons. Oh, I didn't play the Richard Dawson clip. That's the final clip I'm going to play. Here's the 1994 interview when they thought it was just going to be a big ratings success and a smash hit. If not for the O.J. trial, it probably would have done very well in the ratings. But I want to play the man, the kissing bandit, former kissing bandit.
Here
Richard
we are
Dawson.
with Richard Dawson, as you know, from the Family Feud. And guess what? He's back.
That's right. Well, actually, I retired in '85, and I guess the only show I ever missed was Feud. I've done a lot of shows, Hogan's Heroes,
Yes.
Match Game, Laugh-In, Can You Top That? Feud was the only game I ever missed, but I never thought I'd do it again.
I know. Isn't this interesting?
I think it's magical.
And what have you been since '85?
Well, I did the movie with Arnold.
Uh-huh. What's that name?
The Running
of
Man
that movie. Arnold.
Running Man. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Running Man.
I heard he's a fine, fine gentleman.
Well, he's huge, and he's a nice man. I mean, I had it was good fun to do.
Yeah.
Played a nice villain, but since then I got married.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, and I have a little girl.
Oh, you're kidding.
3.5 years old.
My. How is it?
She's just gorgeous. Shannon Nicole. And she's the one I'm doing this show, the reason I'm doing it. She'd never seen me work.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I said, if ever Feud, came up, I would do it, and I'm going to do it.
Ever since '85. Have you been living in L.A. or
Yeah. outside? No, in L.A., same place I lived. I came to America in '62, and I bought the house I live in now, where my son was born. I bought it in '64, so it'll be 30 years. I don't go bouncing around, as you know.
Which is good. That's just nice. That's why it's
And I
stable.
like it. Yeah, I know I like it. And got married.
And when is the Family Feud is going to be on?
It's going
Coming
to be
up
on in the
season?
fall. Yeah, in the fall. We'll start taping probably in May. And we're going to go back to the old. It'll be an hour, but it'll be that old. Won't have that bullseye or any of those.
Oh, good.
We're going to have Feud, and
Are you still going to kiss the women?
I'm
or
not allowed to kiss them because of my daughter. She said we had shown her Feud because I met her mom on Feud.
Oh, really?
My wife, yeah.
Oh, come on.
I
Tell me
swear.
a little bit about that.
I just met the
She was a
Johnson.
contestant?
The Johnson family, and about a month after they were on, they were going to open a restaurant in Manhattan Beach, and they invited me.
Oh, come on.
I went down, and then I got to know Gretchen.
Yeah.
12 years ago.
Gosh.
So
And you got married about 3 years ago?
got married 3.5 years.
So
oh,
you've
no,
known Gretchen for a long time.
and 12 years we've been together.
That's wonderful.
Magic. And I said to Shannon, I can do Family Feud, the show that I met Mommy on.
Yeah.
And I can take you on. You can say hello to everybody. And she said, but you can only kiss me and Mommy. Only other ladies just could give hugs. So that's it, Jim. That's all I can do.
Well, Richard, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
I really appreciate it, sir. And I've been watching the old Hogan's Heroes because
Oh,
that's
yeah.
my era, which I love.
That was a fun show to do.
Hey, you were great on that. And
Newkirk.
Yeah.
Right out then, Jim. I've got to go now, sir. See you later.
Thank you. That's Richard Dawson, Family
Right.
Feud.
Look out, crab's coming. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Painless, a delight.
Hey.
I like that interview. I love that personality. Now, it's interesting how he lost his British accent. Richard Dawson was born on November 20th, 1932 in Hampshire, England. He passed away on June 12th, 2012 at the age of 79 in Los Angeles, California. But interesting thing about him, he was a boxer for a brief time, and he was married to the British equivalent of Marilyn Monroe and had 2 sons with her, Diana Dors. She's and her last name is spelled D-O-R-S if you want to look her up, but she was a gorgeous woman. And that's Richard Dawson's ex-wife before Gretchen Johnson, whom he married in 1991. 10 years after she was on The Feud in 1981. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. And he had 2 sons that did punk rock music, and one of them, Gary, was like an executive producer on Family Feud and on the 94-95 version of Feud with his dad's return. So anyway, Richard Dawson's one of my, and a lot of people don't like him. I mean, there were some comments that came in about him being creepy and stuff, and I just attribute that to him being European. You know, Europeans are more affectionate and they're not all hung up like Americans are. In America, sex is king. I mean, I'm sorry. Well, sex is king. I mean, in movies, violence is king. And whereas in England, you can get away with a little TNA, hence the Benny Hill show. That was my point. It's kind of back. It's not backward, it's reversed. In America, violence is okay, but you can't show, loving anyway. In mainstream media, at least that's the way it was. I mean, now with streaming and Netflix and stuff, and the lines are blurred. But in like the 80s and 90s, in traditional network television, you could get away with violence, but you really couldn't show much in terms of skin. Anyway, now I sound like a creep, like people allege Dawson was. Some people allege that. I don't subscribe to that theory. I think that's bull crap. So I want to thank Al Hardee. I want to thank Shane B for being a part of the show, calling in, talking about what they thought of some recent movies, particularly Morbius, which I think is getting a bad rap. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of the critics and folks on Rotten Tomatoes claim it is. But, of course, I hope you have a great week. One other thing I want to mention, I told you how I've been watching these Columbos. I forgot to mention it's also on the Sundance channel quite frequently. But what I don't like is that on that channel, they crunch the end credits. A lot of times there'll be a song or music in the end credits, and they just go right to the next, like Antenna TV does. They go to the next program, and you can't hear the end titles, unlike Cozy TV, C-O-Z-I. They play the end titles. I love to watch Columbo 10 a.m. to noon on Cozy TV. I usually record it so I can zap past the commercials, truth be told, and watch it at my convenience later on. But I watch it in bed usually. Why am I saying that? Nobody cares. Nobody cares, and that's TMI, too much information. But I do like to watch those Columbo 1990s movies and then the classic ones. Those are on streaming on, I think, Amazon Prime, and I know for sure on the new free streaming service, IMDb TV, which I thoroughly enjoy, even though there are a few commercials, randomly selected by a computer that pop up, but they're not long. The breaks are nothing like network television today, which the breaks are 3-4 minutes long. This is just like a minute or so, maybe a minute and a half. Very, very brief. But man, that Columbo was a great show. And I always discover shows that have been around a long time after they're not on the air anymore. And Peter Falk, sadly, he got dementia late in his life, and I think that's just tragic. He lost his memories and stuff, and he's no longer with us. But that just was such a well-written show by Levinson, and so many great talents in front of and behind the camera worked on that show. So I'm enjoying the hell out of watching Columbo. I'm in season 2 on IMDb TV. I think that's the only season they currently have up on that service for free. But at least the episodes are uncut, and the ones 10 a.m. to noon on Cozy TV are unedited as well, because they're from the 90s when there was less editing, for commercial time. Anyway, God, I'm really, really just talking way too much. I'm going to sign off now and wish you a great, great rest of the week. I appreciate everyone that happens to listen to my show for a little bit. The Nostalgic Podblast. Chance Bartels signing off. Have a great week.